The count is now 8 as far as the head coaching openings go in the NFL. News this morning, Mike McDaniel fired by the Miami Dolphins. What does it mean? How good a job is it? Do you want him as a Titans offensive coordinator candidate? We have 3 hours to talk about it. 615-737-1045. That's the number if you would like to participate at any point throughout the course of the morning. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is where you can make your thoughts known on the F&M Bank Chat. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, like I mentioned. Robert, Lucas, and me with you. We've got Nate Washington. We'll have Greg Cosell analysis here in just a second that we taped, I don't know, maybe about 20 minutes before Mike McDaniel got fired. But I do think it's particularly apt, Cosell's analysis today, because it's my biggest case for not wanting Mike McDaniel as the Titans offensive coordinator. Good morning, boys.
Good morning. Ramon asked us as he was leaving the studio, what do y'all think? McDaniel is offensive coordinator. And I immediately brought up what feels like a full circle moment. Feels like Titans fans were talking about the possibility of Robert Saleh head coach, Mike McDaniel OC. And you said, oh, you don't want that. I said, don't tell me what I want. Don't tell Titans fans what they want.
Oh, I don't care what they want. if they got what they wanted every time, everybody would be fired all the time, every day. It's like, I love you. I don't care what you want.
Give me your best argument for why Mike McDaniel should in no way ever be considered to be the offensive coordinator of the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, I'm not saying in no way ever.
That's what you said. Those were your words.
Why are you lying to people?
That's what you said.
I thought Robert was the most prolific liar among us.
I remember it. I have it back here, but for some reason it won't play the audio. But
you can't even listen to us in the studio if you want to.
He's got recording devices.
I do have the transcription. It says, Buck, in no way, shape, or form should Mike McDaniel ever be the OC, offensive coordinator, original coast, anything for the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, very good.
End quote.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
So, back yourself up.
It's not the right system for Cam, and we've got 20 minutes of Greg Cosell analysis to explain that. So, I've got Greg. What do you got? Go ahead.
Did Greg say, in no way, shape, or form, should Mike McDaniel be the offensive coordinator of the Titans?
He did not.
Oh, okay. So you're putting words into Greg's mouth. Now, that's just not classy. That's
Greg said that Cam Ward would not work in a Kyle Shanahan system currently. What does Mike McDaniel run?
A Mike McDaniel system.
The streets.
The streets.
He runs the streets, does he?
You know where I think he would tickle the fancy? Commanders OC. He has the relation with Adam Peters. You get to call plays for Jaden Daniels.
Why wouldn't he just want to go back to San Francisco?
Jaden Daniels is a little more impressive and flashy and fun than... I'm an insurance salesman, Brock Purdy. Look how I
Is he? Have you watched Brock Purdy lately? He's dug you in the end zone. He got a little rhythm to him now, a little motion.
Pretty
to Brock
swaggy.
Purdy.
Do not ever compare his swag to the mother garter Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels would be perusing these streets if it was not for his mother putting a chastity belt on him. He would be out in those D.C. streets finding the most attractive women, but he's not. He's on house duty until 8
I love the idea, by the way, that in the F&M Bank chat, I'm being greeted by comments like, Greg is not always right, when every other time people come on here and Greg says something nice about Cam Ward, and the chat is immediately filled with, oh, Cosell's the smartest guy in the universe about quarterbacks. Listen to him. Cam Ward is our future. You... I see you, all of you.
Also, why would McDaniel not want to go back to San Francisco so he could call plays somewhere? Like, it would make sense for him to go back to San Francisco. To be honest, I don't even know the name of the offensive coordinator currently. Who is the OC of the Niners?
It's another Kubiak, isn't it? It's the other Kubiak brother.
Well, I know he's not calling plays.
What's the one that people want hired here? Clint?
Yeah, he's in Seattle.
Oh, my God. The other one's name is Clay.
Yeah, that's another Kubiak.
But not with a C. It's with a K.
The Kubiak family. Big on alliteration.
Hold on.
What's his middle name? Wait, what's his middle name? What's his middle name?
Dang it.
Quick.
Come on, Google Buffer.
Clint's middle name is Alexander, so he's clear. He is in the clear.
No way. Clay's is Anthony.
K-A-K.
They're all K instead of A-K-A.
Well, you couldn't make them KKK.
Yeah, well, that's what the joke was.
Yeah, thanks for just...
You couldn't make them KKK.
You couldn't have left anything for imagination.
At least Gary was self-aware enough to not do that.
to wait until Thursday is interesting. And there are a lot of reports. Dolphins personnel, people in the front office are rushing to the Adam Schefters and Jeff Darlingtons of the world to assure them, no, nothing to do with John Harbaugh. Nothing at all. This happened completely independent of John Harbaugh, even though we waited for 4 days after the season ended. And Mike McDaniel said he expected to be part of the GM search in Miami.
So, as we go through this, again, I'm not out on Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. I just think that Cam Ward, based on Greg Cosell's analysis and Greg's evaluation of Cam Ward all year long, seems to be a better fit right now for a specific type of system. Do you want your quarterback supported in the proper way, or do you want a name? Now, it doesn't mean that Mike McDaniel can't adapt and make things work in a way for Cam Ward that you would like.
Which is exactly what Kyle Shanahan has done his entire career.
Kyle Shanahan is a system. Brock Purdy fits in that system. We have seen, again, we will play you 20 minutes of Greg Cosell analysis where he says somebody like Cam Ward would probably not be the ideal quarterback for Kyle Shanahan. Could he make it work? Sure. But would you rather have a better fit for the quarterback right now or somebody who's going to have to go out of their way to make something work around the quarterback?
I just feel like it's going to sound smarter from Greg than from you, so I do look forward to hearing it.
My entire argument is Greg said so. This is why I feel that way. It doesn't have to be smarter. It's because the smart guy said so, and I trust the smart guy. 615-737-1045 is the number. There are also additional requests to be interviewed by the Tennessee Titans that have been reported across the internet sphere at this point in time. Art Smith, his first request is here based on the reporting that has been done. You also have Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers, who expects to interview in a couple of different spots. And then the third is Robert Saleh. So they will speak with Robert Saleh and they will get an evaluation. Do you do that on purpose? What happened? What's going on back there?
I'm trying to get the board fixed so we can have a Zoom interview later. And when I recalled the profile, it shut off the dumbest person talking. So apparently it just cut your microphone off. I don't know why that happened.
It's a default thing.
It's just in the settings. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. While we're talking about dumb things, there is a third Kubiak brother.
Is there?
His name is Klein.
No, it's not.
It is.
With a K.
Yes.
Oh, my God, if it was Klein with a C.
It's
That would have been the funniest thing possible.
He's the youngest brother, too. Is like
C-L-I-N-E.
Why? And when I looked up his middle name, there is no widely known middle name for the Klein Kubiak. This is like the Derek Watt. Like, your brothers are both prolific pass rushers, defensive players of the year, hold records, and you're a fullback.
Poor Klein. What does he do? Is he a coach?
He is in the Dallas front office. All of his boys in the NFL. I'm just joining the family business. Son, I'm a doctor. It's all about who you know.
So, we can take your phone calls on this, and we will hear from Greg Cosell again. Lucas is correct. The analysis from Cosell is much smarter than me, because my default is, well, Greg sees this a certain kind of way, and I'm inclined to go along with what he says. So, Larry is in Nashville next.
Hey, I just had a quick question. Mike McDaniel's being fired today. Is 8 the highest or tied for the highest amount of head coach openings in one offseason? I'll hang up the listen. Thanks.
I don't know the answer to that.
More than last year.
How many was last year?
7.
We could probably look. I don't know how we would look that up for you, other than go like year by year and see who fired people at the end of the year.
It's so interesting how this has just evolved over the course of the week.
Yeah, but think about why. Like, they didn't have a decision on Harbaugh. All of a sudden, the owner swoops in and makes a decision. So late in the game, Amy Adams Strunk-esque, Tuesday-esque, Amy's favorite day to fire people. McDaniel, they're sifting through the general manager process. Now, here's the way that they kind of gave themselves plausible deniability on it. We saw statements all over the place about people like Joe Shane and Dan Quinn and other organizations putting out statements on behalf of owners or people in power saying, no, this guy is safe, and here's why.
Yeah, it was interesting. We never got that in Miami.
Never got that on McDaniel, so they were just kind of like, we'll see, Mike. There was never anything declarative or definitive one way or the other. So you have not just the fact that there's no general manager currently in Miami, But the idea that Harbaugh also came available in Miami. By the way, Adam Schefter putting out there definitively that Miami has not been in contact with the representation of John Harbaugh. So Schefter's in source-offs with how many people? Josina, Rap Sheet. We got source-offs all over the place. Local media. So we can get into the source-off later relative to the Harbaugh conversation because that has some interesting nuggets in there as well. But coming up next, what?
When you think about there being 7 openings last year and there's 8 this year, we're talking about literally half the league turning over its head coach in the span of 2 seasons.
Yeah, but that's about where we are every year, right? Like over 2 seasons?
Yeah, I guess like 6 to 8 feels pretty average.
How many of them last longer than 3 years? It's a very small number. And those people are people like Tomlin and Harbaugh that have been in their jobs for 100 years. Greg Cosell's analysis on the best offensive kind or offensive system to fit Cam Ward right now, and some NFL playoff previews coming up next. You've got one life, and it's too short for not nows, maybe laters, and tomorrows. If you're noticing issues with ED or performance, then your relationships, your confidence, and even your career may have already been affected. Online folks promise convenience and discretion, but their treatments are generic and some even unsafe. Guys, no more excuses. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is the state's first men's health-focused urology practice. Multiple urologists and providers focused solely on male performance. The right way. No unproven snake oil or peptides without solid research. Since 2014, they've pioneered men's health in Tennessee and have been testing and growing to make sure you get the best care and the safest, most effective treatments. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 right now, or book online in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. So, Cosell and I are back on our normal schedule for the install, available wherever you get your podcasts. We are planning our live show as we speak. I assume we're going back to the analog. I very much enjoy the analog room in the Hutton Hotel. So that's the plan as of right now. And we'll continue to keep you updated on details once we have a firm date and who might be the guest this year, although there's a little bit of bad juju. I feel like I'm 2 for 2 getting people fired.
Oh, my God. I just realized something. If the Titans hired John Harbaugh and he agreed to do the install,
yes,
I could corner him and ask him all of the questions I have ever wanted to ask him.
I think I'm going to have to institute more strict security policies with the green room.
Yeah, I agree. Way too many goobers in there. We need to just get all the muck out so we can get in there and really get into the weeds with Harbaugh. I agree.
He would never agree to do the install.
You don't know that.
You have no idea.
You shut up right now. You stop it. Don't you ever say anything like that again.
I would love to see you around him. I really would.
I don't think I would. And I think it would be grotesque. I think there would be drool.
He turns to be polite to someone next to him, and I just quickly get a sniff of his hair. Like,
what do you think he smells like?
Great. J.C. Penney's, Belk, a large department store.
Dillard's.
Yes, Dillard. I think he smells like a great Macy's.
Well, we'll get to a source-off involving the reporting around John Harbaugh.
That's a poll. What's the best-smelling department store?
Oh, that is a good question. Just like department store where like Macy's, Dillard's. Is Sears still a thing? Do we still have Sears?
I think so. I think they mostly sell fridges and lawnmowers, but I could be wrong. The one where I'm from closed. Would Nordstrom be?
Nordstrom counts.
Okay. Of course it would for you. Of course,
Nordstrom isn't like bougie. Turn the mic on to talk.
You can't take our power away, Cheddar Bob. I did. My buddy did shoot himself with a gun. You can't be like, turn your microphone on. You can't take the power away.
I like a good Nordstrom.
Yeah, but we can't act like it's not bougie. You don't go to Nordstrom. You go to Nordstrom Rack, like me,
I
and regular
people.
I
like a Nordstrom Rack.
What is a Nordstrom Rack?
Everything that they don't sell at Nordstrom, they take to Nordstrom Rack.
Surplus?
Oh, there's some good stuff.
It's just like whatever doesn't sell. Yeah, kind of surplus.
Okay.
Or season out.
If you have a surplus outlet, you're not like a luxury.
That's not true.
Store.
That's not true.
Megan loves a Nordstrom Rack.
Anyway, Cosell and I are back on the normal schedule Thursday morning. We taped this about 20 minutes before Mike McDaniel got fired, but I do think that the analysis still holds up because the biggest theme of today's podcast, Titan specific, was what kind of offense and what kind of coach via that offense makes the most sense for Cam Ward right now. This is Greg Cosell's visit with me earlier this morning. Welcome into the install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. We got playoff.
I want you to turn your mic off.
Carousel stuff going on. And finally, Greg, we have a conclusion on the 2025-2026
okay, never mind.
Titans season. For our purposes,
whose fault is it now?
Hold on a second, buddy.
Well, I guess the way that I would ask you the question, Greg, is now that we've seen Cam in a full season sample size, best case scenario, he did get injured in Jacksonville on Sunday, but no surgery is being recommended for the AC joint sprain that he's dealing with in his shoulder. But with a full game sample or full season sample size now of the rookie quarterback, I wonder if you could just kind of put a bow on the work that he was able to get done, given the circumstance that he was surrounded by here.
And I think that's the way to go about this. And, I certainly can give you my sense of what kind of pass game fits him best, but just to talk about this season, I think is important because you have to remember this was a season he was on a team, and everybody would agree that was not, in terms of overall roster construction, one of the better teams in the league, clearly one of the lesser teams. An offensive line that did not play to its pedigree, 3 rookie receivers who I think all have shown something as we look ahead. A run game that really for 3/4 of the season was not enough of a factor to help a young quarterback. And the fact that until the final game, he played every snap and was clearly incrementally improving and was never beaten down either physically or mentally says a lot about the kid. Okay, I hate to use the word kid because he's an adult, but you know what I'm saying. And I think that says a lot about the person and the kind of person that can lead a team. Now, again, I am not sitting here saying that means next year he's a top 10 quarterback in the league or he's on his way to a Hall of Fame career. That's not the point at all. We're dealing with what we have, Buck. This is what we have. Okay. Obviously, they've got to make a decision. There are people whose investment portfolios are far bigger than mine that are going to make those decisions. But I think that ultimately what Cam Ward both put on tape and as a person within the context of this season, I think it said an awful lot in a very positive way about him.
I 100% agree with the assessment of the makeup, right? Like he's made of the right stuff to be able to do this. Whether, to your point, whether he achieves the kind of things that Titans fans want to manifest for him or hoping that he'll do, we can't get that far ahead of ourselves. But the thing that makes you feel the best, his superpower, for lack of a better term, is that he's a tough SOB, Greg. You have to be to get through the situation that he was in. And I think people.
Buck, I've obviously got a little more experience doing this than you have, based on years. And there's many quarterbacks that with what he went through this year, just in terms of the physical beating he took, the mental part of it that plays along with that would have fallen apart at times.
Yeah.
That never happened with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kept lining up and playing. Is he going to have moments like after they won that game against Cleveland when obviously, he was probably a little down in the dumps because there was a personal element to that game with Sanders, and it appeared as if Sanders played a better game than he did, even though the Titans won, and maybe he didn't present himself the way a veteran like a Jeffrey Simmons would want him to present himself. That's just growing up a little bit, but he never, in terms of playing, was mentally beaten or physically beaten. And I think that says a lot.
So now comes as important a decision as the franchise has had to make at any point in the last decade, at least.
Right.
The head coach for the number 1 overall pick, and obviously the unknown factors are: well, is this head coach going to be an offensive-minded guy, a defensive-minded guy? Will he call his own plays? Will he have an offensive coordinator? We don't need to waste our time with that conversation at this point in time. Save that for me on the radio show. I got 3 hours.
Right.
But from an offensive, stylistic, philosophical approach, Greg, I did ask you this question on the radio show last week at some point, where you think they need to kind of hone in on from an offensive standpoint to equip Cam to succeed as best as humanly possible based on where he is right now.
Well, obviously, offensive passing games have evolved greatly over the years. There was a time when people thought of passing games in the NFL as coming from two basic schools of thought, two basic philosophies. One being the Bill Walsh style of offense with his very quick rhythmic ball comes out. Then the other one was the Don Coryell philosophy, a little more deeper drops, a little more of an intermediate type pass game. And again, I'm giving the Cliff Notes version. I could talk about this stuff, as you know, for an hour on each one, but for now. And then there's hybrids of those philosophies. And as we've grown with offensive football, people mix and match. They have elements of that plus others. But I think in a very general philosophical way, to me, Cam Ward works better, not in an offense in a Bill Walsh style offense. I don't think that's his game. I think he's much more of a quarterback that you want, that can work sort of for people. And again, I know this goes back years. Obviously, this individual still does a lot of stuff, so people are aware of him. But he fits like the Kurt Warner style of deeper drops, throw the dig balls, throw the intermediate routes. That style of offense, as opposed to the Joe Montana style of offense, so to speak. And I think people can probably, even though that's years ago, these are well-known names in NFL history. I'm sure I would think people listening to us know who these people are and have probably seen highlights. So, to me, that fits more with his style of play than the Bill Walsh quick rhythm. Like a perfect example in today's NFL, I'm not sure Cam Ward would be seen as by Kyle Shanahan as his perfect quarterback. Everything is quick, boom, boom, choreographed. I don't think that's the way, someone would see Cam Ward. So now, whatever that means for a coach, you can't answer that. A head coach is totally different to me. Um, are you hiring a head coach because he can call good plays? Are you hiring a head coach because he can run an organization and run a coaching staff? These are things Mike Borgonzi and staff have to figure out. What do they want in a head coach? Um, but I will say this, and I've said this to you before, and we'll reiterate it because we haven't said it in a number of weeks. Whoever is the head coach and the entire organization, starting with Mike Borgonzi, who I guess with his new title seems to be in charge, right down to the janitors who come in and clean up. Everything has to be geared toward making Cam Ward great. Because if Cam Ward ends up not being great, all these people won't have jobs in 2 or 3 years.
Yep, and that's a cycle that the Titans organization, Titans fans are hoping that they can finally break out of after 4 years, basically, of doing exactly that in some form or fashion. So, to your point, the staff, not just the head coach, will be a huge part of this of these next couple of months, and no timetable right now. Just talking to the front office members, the search committee with Mike Borgonzi and guys like Dave Ziegler, Reggie McKenzie, all those characters a part of it. They're just trying not to typecast anything right now. I really do take them at their word that they're just trying to go in with as few preconceived notions about what they want specifically, beyond the kind of stylistic things that they know will work for the quarterback.
But you're also dealing with guys who've been in the league. So they know people, they're not starting from scratch. It's not like they brought someone in from the automobile industry and he has to learn the football business. Mike Borgonzi's been in the league a long time. Dave Ziegel's been in the league a long time. McKenzie's been in the league a long time. Chad Brinker, whatever his role is, I never get caught up in the titles. I'm sure they all have conversations. They've been in the league a long time. They're not starting from scratch.
Right. So, neither will the Baltimore Ravens. That's the biggest news of the last week, Greg. After 18 years, they move on from John Harbaugh. And I just kind of your assessment of almost the same kind of a question for where Lamar is in his particular career, and understanding that he was dealing with injury this year that may have made him look, and did make him look at times, less than we know him to be. What do you kind of make of the Ravens moving forward as they head into their coaching search?
Well, quick story, which you'll appreciate. I'm forever indebted to John Harbaugh, because John Harbaugh, when my daughter was at IU, hooked me up with Tom Crean. And for 3 years, when I visited my daughter, I sat right behind the bench. It was beautiful. So I'm forever indebted to John Harbaugh.
Greg, like Mike Borgonzi, been in the league a long time, knows a lot of people, not starting from scratch that way.
Right. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen there, and I don't know what that means for, obviously new coach comes in, it's probably a brand new staff. But I actually thought that, with Lamar, and again, it's easy to say he didn't have a great year. That's the easy thing. But I'm thinking of it tactically. That was a really tough offense to defend. I thought what Todd Monken did was really good, because basically he took a Greg Roman offense, which again was geared toward, not exclusively, nothing's exclusive, nothing's 100%, but was geared very much toward big people, heavy personnel, Patrick Ricard, being the guy, and a run offense with Lamar being a major part of it, and a pass game that worked off that. And what Monken did is he expanded that. He kept that in and expanded it to include a lot of 11 personnel, meaning 3 wide receivers, and they became a very difficult offense to defend. There was a lot you had to defend going in to play the Baltimore Ravens. So like I said, I'm thinking of it tactically. Did Lamar look like Lamar this year? No. And who knows where he is physically? He's getting older. Can he still have the same explosiveness? These are unanswerable questions right now. But, I didn't think from a tactical perspective that they were, anything was significantly different. Was the execution not as good? Of course not. Very quietly, Derrick Henry, had about 1,500 yards this year?
He was like 41 away from leading the league in rushing again, Greg. It's crazy.
Yeah. And he averaged around 5 yards a carry, with a ton of touchdowns. Like I said, that's a tough offense to defend. So, we'll see who comes in. I don't know the answer to that, but all I know is that they were hard to defend.
Yeah, I think we can both agree that if these decisions were just based on the tactical elements of it, that a lot of the changes that we see year over year would not be made. But again, there's some reporting about Lamar and Todd Monken that doesn't necessarily apply to our conversation, but these things get more complicated.
And I'm always fascinated, Buck. And you know, you know me, I'm not sarcastic about this stuff. But first of all, I don't like to comment on that stuff because I don't know what goes on in buildings.
Right.
And as my good friend Louis Riddick said, within the last 24, 48 hours, when you start making these speculative comments, you know, you end up being stupid because you don't know. And I certainly don't know what goes on in buildings. But the thing that I always find fascinating with coaches is when all of a sudden a guy who 1 year is hailed as doing a phenomenal job, okay? The guy who comes to mind is Cliff Kingsbury. And then all of a sudden the next year, what is he, an idiot the next year? I mean, the way this stuff is talked about, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Cliff Kingsbury didn't unlearn football in 1 year. I mean, you know, for whatever reason, and we're not in the building there either, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Maybe it's football based, maybe there's personality. Again, I would never even begin to go there, but you know, it's not like the guy unlearned football.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that some ancillary stuff can get involved in these decisions. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot more X's and O's talk in the full episode of the podcast. There's also NFL Wild Card Weekend previews in the latest episode of the podcast, The Install with Greg Cosell, available wherever you get your podcasts, and also, Robert, on YouTube. Okay, almost on YouTube. We will have that by the end of, by this afternoon. We will have that available for you to watch, if you would like. Robert says by the end of the hour in my ear. So, all right, you heard the explanation. I don't know if you were paying attention or not, but you heard the explanation of why Greg thinks he's a better fit for the Don Coryell, Air Coryell system versus the Bill Walsh West Coast offense system. Does that sway your opinion whatsoever about the idea of Mike McDaniel, West Coast offense guy?
Sounds better when he says it, for sure. So, yes.
What was the most interesting point to you in all of that?
Oh, just all of it, you know? I think all of it was really, really good.
What were you watching instead on your phone?
I think the point about John Harbaugh and his relationship with Tom Crean really stood out.
I hate you so much.
It doesn't mean it's not worth the conversation, right, with Mike McDaniel.
No.
It's worth the conversation with anybody.
Yeah, for sure talk to him.
But yeah, it stands to reason. For sure. So with that said, what candidates out there offensively, whether it's head coach or offensive coordinator, maybe it's too early to start having that conversation, but Cam Ward is going to be a pretty big centerpiece in all of these interviews. So who are the candidates out there that more fit the Coryell system that could put Cam Ward in a better position to succeed?
That's something that we can dive into throughout the course of the show today. And again, I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. Just because they come from a certain tree doesn't mean that they will exclusively have concepts and principles from that style of offense. You've heard coaches say this a million times over. There's only so many offensive plays. Everybody has everything at their disposal. It's just how do you tailor things to the personnel that you've got if you're good at the coaching job. Would we say that Brian Callahan did a good job tailoring things
No.
to the personnel that he had? Agreed. So, but what did he say to me explicitly at the Combine? That he was not going to prioritize system over talent. And yet that's still what ended up coming to pass. Now, I'm not saying that people should be held to account for Brian Callahan's sins.
That is something that I think every coach in the history of coaching has said. Have you ever heard a coach say, no, we prioritize scheme over the players we have in the building?
Not in the modern era, but I'm sure if you go back and look, like Malarkey was pretty rigid as far as what they were going to run versus who they were going to run it with, right? They were looking for players that fit the system as opposed to the other way around. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either. If you have a way that you want to run the offense, then you should find players that make the most sense for you if you're already in place.
Well, I feel like that doesn't happen a lot with coaches. Like, I'm gonna prioritize my scheme over talent. I do think you see coaches go out and get guys to try to make it work, i.e. Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh, where he goes and gets Jonnu, and he I'm going to run what I want to run. Let me go find the guys who fit this rather than changing what I do to fit what we have.
Yeah, it's far easier to say than do, because at the end of the day, you're going to end up leaning on the thing that you know the most. And the thing that Brian Callahan knew the most was Denver's style of offensive approach. And that's not something that worked here. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in if you have any thoughts on the idea of Mike McDaniel. Apparently, Cleveland, according to reports, is going to pursue him in some form or fashion, or at least interview him for their head coaching. Did you see Tommy Rees is going to interview for that job too? He's on staff there, but Tommy Rees is going to interview for the Browns head coaching job. Very quick rise for Tommy Rees, for what it's worth. Coming up next, we have headlines?
No.
I'm looking at the wrong day.
You do?
Vandy,
Yep.
Big win last night over Alabama at Memorial Gym. We will talk about that coming up next. So speaking of bandwagons and trains that you might want to jump on, Vandy basketball, huge win over Alabama in Memorial Gym last night. 96-90, the final. They take down number 12 Alabama as the 10th-ranked Commodores continue their undefeated start to the season. Tyler Tanner, 29 points for Vandy last night. This game didn't tip off until 8 p.m., and I'll be honest, it got bogged down a little bit in the second half with some of the officiating and things like that, so it wasn't quite as fluid a game as you would have liked for it to be. But it was an excellent performance by Vanderbilt, who, if you've been paying attention to the start of the college basketball season, and I'm sure Vandy fans are because their athletic department, top to bottom right now, men's basketball, women's basketball, football, obviously the baseball program is in good standing and a highly competitive program. Vandy hasn't really had tough games on its schedule to date. They had a win over SMU in the SEC-ACC Challenge that was quality, but that, by a mile, was Vanderbilt's first opportunity to really get tested, specifically by a conference opponent, and Alabama is as good as any team in the SEC right now, and Vanderbilt, it wasn't comfortable the whole way through. They exchanged leads several times throughout the course of the game and into the second half. But at a certain point, Vandy looked like they were in pretty good control of this thing.
They were 8-9 point lead with a couple minutes left, and Bama, hit a couple deep threes to make it somewhat interesting. A 4 to 6 point games at certain points with 90 or so seconds left. Had to play the foul and free throw shooting game, but Vanderbilt sees it out, puts up 96 points, and they're undefeated. It's the best start in school history. They're the best team in the league right now.
Well, yeah, certainly by standings.
Yeah, they already were the highest-ranked team in the SEC. They should be in the top 10 come the next AP poll. And they have 2 wins, to your point, over teams. 2 non-conference wins, let me say, over teams that are currently in the top 25. SMU right now is number 24, and UCF has been good since Vandy beat them back in early November. UCF, the number 25 team in the country. But this win wiped away any of that doubt, right? Any of that, but you haven't really shown it. Now you have. Vanderbilt should be talked about as a Final Four contender and as an SEC championship contender at this point. Tyler Tanner just bossed this game.
Yeah.
Just smooth as you like. Local guy, Brentwood Academy, Gatorade Player of the Year, career high 29 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, just all over the place. And here they are at 15-0 and a chance to pick up a couple more wins here and extend this best start in school history with some very winnable games at home against LSU on Saturday, at Texas, a team that is really trying to figure some stuff out next Wednesday. Then they host Florida before going to Arkansas, which will be a big challenge. That's a top 15 Arkansas team loaded with talent. Obviously, they just beat Tennessee in the SEC opener. John Calipari, is trying to prep that team for a deep run. But they're as legit as any team in the Southeastern Conference, if not more so.
Typically, and Ken Pom is not the end-all be-all for how good or bad a basketball team is because, again, you have to look at the quality of the opponents that some of these teams are posting numbers against. And for Vanderbilt, you could probably have picked apart their schedule and said, all right, are they really a top 5 team in terms of Ken Pom, or are they just feasting on bad teams? And I think that it could have been said that they were feasting on bad teams until last night, where, to Lucas's point, they got their first real test and they passed, maybe not with flying colors, but pretty convincingly as I think they're a national championship contender. If you're a top 5 team in Ken Pom and you can play, ACC truther back there may take issue with this, and I'm not in love with the idea that the SEC is the best conference in college basketball now, and I think it might have been for some time, where the SEC and hell, if I wanted to really bother people today, I would say that the SEC and the Big Ten have swapped as far as the Big Ten being better at football now and the SEC being better at basketball. But we can have that conversation another day. They are a top 5 team in terms of net rating, offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, behind only Michigan, Iowa State, Arizona, and Purdue. If you put all of those teams up next to Vanderbilt and said, are the other 4 national championship contenders? Yes, then Vanderbilt is too.
Yeah, Mark Byington's just done an incredible job with
What's
that group.
in the water at JMU?
Yeah, it's crazy. The idea of Mark Byington and Kurt Cignetti being there at the same time, too.
Well, did you hear any of the broadcasts last night where they were talking about Byington, like apparently Cignetti not overwhelmingly approachable, which I don't think should surprise people. But it took them a little while to open up, and now they're obviously close. But it took them a little time to kind of crack that nut that is Kurt Cignetti.
Well, I like the way he's balanced the in-house recruiting. Again, Tyler Tanner, local product, one of the best guards in the country at this point, should probably be entering the discussion for SEC Player of the Year. There's a few candidates for that right now. A lot of guys playing really good ball at the moment. But they've also done a nice job supplementing in the portal. And Devin McLaughlin's a guy that was there last year, the Boston College transfer. But they're just a really balanced squad. All 5 starters scored in double figures yesterday. They're a high-powered, high-scoring team. You know, we know about Alabama. We know that Bama can score with the best of them. And Vandy just went tit for tat, almost hung 100 over Nate Oates, who was fired up in this game, was teed up at some point, was frustrated.
What do you think was said to him? Because, like,
he was
when
furious.
He got teed up, he lost
It was
his
going nuts.
mind.
LeBaron Philon Jr. at the end of this game was frustrated, wasn't really able to finish out the game. Injuries feel like the thing that's going to hold him back from being a true candidate for SEC Player of the Year if he does come up short in that department. But this team could push for whatever's in front of them. I misspoke, by the way. They're 15-0. Best start in school history was 16-0 in that 07-08 season with Shane Foster and those guys. So they are a win away from tying the best start in school history, 2 wins away from establishing it if they get to 17-0.
Are you worried?
Oh, yeah. They don't play. Tennessee Vandy don't play until February 21st.
Well,
so.
not necessarily about that. Are you worried that they're about to become a Jamie Foxx school?
Oh?
They're about to become the triple threat that Tennessee was thought to be. Oh, football. Well, Vandy bested you in football. Basketball, well, Vandy is currently besting you in basketball. And baseball, your fearless, sexy leader has headed off to the best coast. So,
oh, man, was Tennessee's triple threat year 2024 to 2025? Got the baseball natty, made the college football playoff, basketball to the Elite Eight. Now it might be Vanderbilt's time to shine. You may not be wrong.
Maybe you're like a Fantasia school now. You're just really good at singing. You can't dance or act or read.
That's not nice.
Well, wasn't that? I'm not making that up. Wasn't that substantiated that she didn't?
You can't say that and then say, wasn't that substantiated?
Well,
you need to have more concrete evidence.
Someone do some research to prove my process.
Winner of American Idol. Was that season 1?
Season 2, I believe. Was it Kelly Clarkson?
I think Kelly Clarkson was season 1.
Was the initial winner,
Yeah.
or was Ruben Studdard season 2?
Ruben Studdard, man.
Ruben
Legend.
Studdard was the last season of American Idol that I watched.
Love his sandwiches.
By the way,
So does he.
Kentucky.
Oh, Missouri went in there last night. It makes me so angry every time I watch that Kentucky team play, knowing that Indiana lost to them.
How?
They pooped themselves in the second half. It's terrible. Turned it over. I think they had 16
Indiana
turnovers.
Did.
Yeah.
Well, Kentucky pooped themselves yesterday. They were up 8 with 4 minutes left.
Ugh.
Awful turnovers, miscommunications on the offensive side of the ball. Just collapsed late, and Mizzou gets its first ever win at Rupp Arena.
That's what I'm saying.
73-68. Kentucky 9-6. And vibes are bad.
He's going to get fired.
And if that was a team with any other logo, you'd be looking at it and saying, yeah, I don't know how they get to the NCAA tournament. And it's going to be an uphill climb. Auburn is kind of in that same boat. Did you see how they lost the other night?
Auburn?
Yeah.
No, but I heard them talking about it on the halftime show.
Very controversial. A near half-court buzzer beater, barely got it off to beat A&M. Place goes nuts. They call it good on the floor. And then they go and review it. It looked to me like he got it off, but they reversed it. And, I mean, it was like 1 pixel. The replay,
really?
the zoom in on trying to figure out if his hand was still touching the ball. They reversed it. Auburn loses.
Oh, that's terrible.
And they are off to an 0-2 start in league play. So there are currently 5 teams that are 0-2 in SEC play. Auburn and Kentucky are 2 of them.
How do you find time to watch all these games in between your Sex and the City binge? Because famously
Are you
last
still
night,
binging Sex and the City?
Yes,
Dude.
he's still binging. He couldn't be bothered last night to come on stream for the D&D campaign.
He was playing Dungeons and Dragons. Season 3 is phenomenal television.
of Sex and the City.
It's phenomenal. It's so good. I'm glued to it.
I'm tangentially aware of Sex and the City. Like, I know the principal parties. I know Mr. Big.
You would like it. It's good. It's just a good TV show. I don't care what anybody says. It's good quality television. And there's a reason.
Nobody's criticizing
it carries.
you.
No, everybody in my life is criticizing me.
Because you can't stop watching it. All we needed you to do was come on stream for 5 seconds and be someone's spider leg.
Everybody in my life, except my fiance, who is thrilled that I'm watching it, is criticizing me. It's a fantastic show if you just sit down and watch one episode, Robert.
I'm with a significant other. I have seen Sex and the City morbidly.
I don't make it long enough in relationships to make it through Sex and the City.
It's a good show.
We are aware.
It's a good show.
615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to participate. That's a good question. What's your guilty pleasure TV show? Sex and the City. I don't even think it's a guilty pleasure. Like, that's known
I have
to
no
be
guilt.
an excellent show.
Yeah.
I think mine might be Gilded Age on HBO. Y'all seen that? I don't think either of you would like it, but I enjoy the hell out of it. Anyway, coming up next, we are going to get into a quarterback situation that matters a great deal for the University of Tennessee. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11:02. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Down studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. There has been another firing in the NFL as the Dolphins have fired Mike McDaniel after going 35-33 over 4 seasons. Dolphins also currently searching for a general manager. Meanwhile, the Titans have submitted interview requests to 3 new candidates, according to Adam Schefter, in Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. The Titans have their first virtual interview with Chiefs OC Matt Nagy today. College basketball, Vanderbilt improved to 15-0 with a 96-90 win over Alabama at Memorial Gym. Tyler Tanner with a career-high 29 points. In Knoxville, quarterback Sam Leavitt is extending his visit with Tennessee this week. According to VolQuest, the Arizona State transfer is the number one ranked QB in the portal. The college football playoff semifinals begin tonight with the Fiesta Bowl, Ole Miss versus Miami, kicking off at 6:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Okay, so the coaching carousel in the NFL has become more interesting. The news of the day so far is that Mike McDaniel has been fired in Miami. We can get back to what that means for the Tennessee Titans in a little while. Nate Washington will join us in the noon hour, and we will see what Nate thinks is the most important thing for the next Titans head coach. But in the meantime, there's also some things that need resolving at the University of Tennessee, and that is the quarterback position more than anything else. So the transfer portal is chaotic. We understand this, free agency in college football year over year. Is it funny, or do you find it funny that the things that are not allowed in professional football are just all of a sudden allowed in college football? Like the idea that there's no contracts, that guys can jump from year to year to year this way, that the way that these guys are paid is honestly more concrete than the way that a lot of NFL players are paid in terms of the monopoly money and incentives and things like that.
Or the thing that got coaches like Jeremy Pruitt fired and essentially bombed his college football coaching career are all totally legal now.
Yes.
Yeah, it is funny. It's ironic, for sure.
So, tell us the latest on Sam Leavitt, the Michigan State quarterback turned Arizona State quarterback, who is again in the transfer portal and apparently has connections that are becoming a bit stronger with the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, kind of unexpectedly, at least for me. Now, VolQuest has been all over this. Obviously, Austin Price reported today that Arizona State transfer quarterback Sam Leavitt is extending his visit, and he will now leave tomorrow instead of leaving this afternoon. So they are at the very least keeping him for another day. Pete Nakos has been on this too, as he always is when it comes to the transfer portal, which has been insane. Leavitt is the number 1 quarterback in the portal. We all remember him and Cam Scadaboo leading that Arizona State run to the playoff, coming up just one play shy, a 4th down stop shy on defense of beating Texas in that quarterfinal and moving on to the Final Four. And he had more of an injury-plagued season in 2025, only played in 7 games. Numbers still looked pretty good. Dual-threat quarterback. Feels like he would be a pretty good fit for Josh Heupel. 10 touchdowns, 3 picks last year, 5 rushing touchdowns. He visited with Lane Kiffin and LSU earlier this week. There is smoke now around LSU potentially having some attention paid towards the Washington quarterback, where that's a whole mess right now, where he apparently signed something that prohibited him from going into the portal, and he went into the portal anyway, and Washington is seeking legal recourse, which makes me wonder, did the guy even look at what he signed? Whole other conversation in this era.
Answer no.
Probably not. But I was always going to be surprised if Tennessee was straight up outbidding somebody for a starting quarterback. Like Brendan Sorsby's going and getting $5 million at Texas Tech. And it was like, okay, well, that in and of itself will take Tennessee out of the running. I don't think Tennessee is in that spot right now. I don't think they need to be. They just paid $1.2 million to Joey Aguilar to lead the SEC in passing. And that's still kind of hanging up in the air. But if it works out with Sam Leavitt and the money is right, and Tennessee feels good about it, then he is probably the best case scenario for you at quarterback in 2026. The Ty Simpson ship has sailed. He's going pro. And so it's interesting that this seems to be, taking another step, at least in the conversation between Leavitt and Tennessee. And the Vols do have more work to do, I will say, in the portal. I don't feel like enough has been done. Their edge room got pretty much emptied out. Joshua Joseph's going to the draft. Caleb Herring hitting the portal. Jordan Ross hitting the portal, which I think was a little bit unexpected. So that's your top 3 edge rushers from last year. They've gotten some safety help, could probably use a little bit more. I expect them to still sign a running back. They just hosted one from Louisiana a few days ago. Probably could use another defensive lineman. There are a lot of things Tennessee could use in the portal that you would like to see them be a little more aggressive in here. But getting Sam Leavitt in would be one of those moves that just totally flips the conversation of an offseason. That is one thing the portal can do, is just totally change the tenor of how you talk about a team heading into the following season. Sam Leavitt is the type of guy that could lift this Tennessee offense in a really big way as it brings back a lot of its offensive line core and pretty much its entire wide receiver core with the exception of Chris Brazzell. But you feel good about that position. It's not a need in the portal, wide receiver. So it would be a huge get if Tennessee lands Sam Leavitt, and probably the end of any Joey Aguilar potential of coming back.
If Joey Aguilar was available to come back, you would rather Leavitt over him.
Yeah, it's just a higher ceiling with Sam Leavitt. Now, if the Leavitt thing doesn't work out, then Aguilar coming back is absolutely the best case scenario, right? You imagine there would be some type of raise there from the 1.2-ish he was reportedly making to, I don't know, let's say $2 million, and still feels like a bargain in this day and age, and it's his second year in the system. And who knows when we hear on Joey Aguilar, no clue. But right now, Sam Leavitt feels like the biggest slam dunk that Tennessee could possibly pull off at quarterback.
It would be good for them to have somebody who could give them scoring potential, not just in their passing game, but on the ground. He had 5 rushing touchdowns last year, had 5 the previous season for Arizona State as well. He's not a rushing quarterback that way. He had, 73 attempts for 306 yards, but he gives you enough to keep a defense honest in that situation, and that would give you legitimate juice. I mean, Hendon Hooker wasn't like a scrambling quarterback by any sense of the imagination, but the spots that he would pick to run would really, really benefit that Tennessee offense at times that wants to focus itself mostly around their rushing attack.
Yeah, Hooker definitely ran the ball more than any other quarterback in the Heupel era. I mean, he had a 600-yard rushing season in 21, 430, and 5 rushing touchdowns in 22. No other Tennessee quarterback has reached those numbers. Sam Leavitt is the type of guy that could. And that run to the playoff with Arizona State in 2024, he completed 61.7% of his passes, 2,885 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and ran for 443 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. That number was down to about 300 this past season, but like I said, only played in 7 games. So would be a slam dunk, would be a home run for Tennessee. I think a lot of people tied him to Lane Kiffin and LSU.
Well, that's something I want to talk about here in just a second.
What?
How LSU fans are, at least, there's funny videos on the internet of LSU fans reacting to Lane Kiffin's, I don't want to say lack of success in the portal so far, but it seems that there is at least a portion of the LSU fan base that is dissatisfied with Lane's job in the portal so far.
Well, and we're going to talk about this coming up with Ole Miss and Miami playing tonight. Pete Golding had some interesting comments doing his media availability with Mario Cristobal asking.
So did Joe Judge, for what it's worth.
Yeah, good Lord.
We haven't talked about that yet. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But who brought this up? Ben Jones brought this up yesterday. The difficult spot Ole Miss players are currently in. I'm like, the portal's going to close before the national championship game. Mm-hmm. What do I do here? Do I submit my name and keep playing? It's a really impossible spot, but suddenly I'm like, are any of these guys going to follow Lane to LSU? It's like all of these players have rallied here for Ole Miss. You've got Ole Miss players tweeting about Lane after the game the other week. It doesn't look like a situation that everybody thought it would be. Lane has not covered himself in glory, I would say, in the last couple of weeks. So that will be interesting to see where that all falls. If they end up with the Washington quarterback, then that's a really good get for LSU. But we'll see. They're absolutely a factor in this. Again, I think LSU would be better equipped to outbid Tennessee for Sam Levitt. I don't know that Tennessee's going to pony up $4 million for Sam Levitt this year, but we'll see.
So, why don't we pivot to an Ole Miss discussion? Because Ole Miss and Miami is how this college football playoff is going to get started before Indiana and Oregon takes place tomorrow in Atlanta. So we will preview the Ole Miss-Miami game coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by money from Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Any Hattie B's location open in Middle Tennessee at 11 a.m. So if you haven't made your lunch plans yet, no better place than Hattie B's, any one of their Middle Tennessee locations, or now available in Huntsville, Birmingham, Vegas, where else? Atlanta. Maybe I get some Hattie B's on my way to the Peach Bowl tomorrow afternoon.
My dad was a big fan
of Hattie B's.
Yes, he was extremely pleased with the quality.
What do you get?
Hot.
Like the half bird, dark meat, white meat?
The wings. I brought the wings.
Nice.
The wings.
Nice.
Yeah, he was thrilled with
you actually brought Hattie B's home with you?
Yes. Threw them in the glass air fryer, crisped them back up, and then...
Oh, yeah. Oh, you can watch it crisp back
The
up.
way he just... Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think Megan ever gets that voice, or is it just reserved for food?
It's just reserved for Hattie B's Hot Chicken, baby. But so it's the see-through. You can see the food being air fried.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Super cribby.
Well, I'm glad that your father enjoyed the wonderful Hattie B's offerings.
Well, he's wondering if I can get it shipped to him, and I need to figure that out.
What's they're not a sponsor, so maybe I shouldn't throw names out there, but isn't there something like called Gold Belly where you can get like stuff from restaurants everywhere in the country?
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Pretty sure that's a thing.
Hold on.
Yeah, you can look that up.
Wait a minute.
All right.
Wait a minute.
Well, we've lost Robert for the remainder of the segment. Anyway, also very inside joke that Lucas just made.
Wait a minute.
We should have Crystal on at some point just for something. I don't know for what. We can figure that out in real time, but we got to have her on for something. Anyway, Faison Brandon is a 5-star quarterback recruit for the University of Tennessee. And as we were talking about the idea of Sam Leavitt in the transfer portal and Joey Aguilar coming off of a procedure to remove what's the word? It's not malignant. What's the opposite? Benign tumor that was in his, like, it sounded like between his shoulder and his...
Like pushing up on his bicep and labrum is how Ian Rappaport phrased it.
Well, that's gross.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and good on him for battling through that this season, because I'm sure that was uncomfortable in some form or fashion. So Joey Aguilar not just dealing with that, but also pending litigation, trying to work through his eligibility. He's a part of the Diego Pavia lawsuit. So what does that mean for a 5-star quarterback? And Lucas pointed out as we were in commercial break that while we were talking about the idea of Sam Leavitt in the transfer portal before we preview this Ole Miss Miami game, that the chat had broken out, where you can interact with the show, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, the F&M Bank chat, had broken out into an argument amongst themselves, as they often do, about the idea of what's the point of recruiting 5-star talent at quarterback if you're just going to go out there and try and portal your way through the quarterback position.
Yes, biased Titan fan brought this up, and he says, won't other 5-stars see that you keep going to the portal and then they won't come to Tennessee? And they continue saying, Ricky goes, Faison will be gone. Biased Titan fan says, I think you're going to stop getting those quarterbacks if you keep dipping into the portal. And this has been a gripe that I have heard from Tennessee fans for the last couple of weeks, as the Vols very obviously are pursuing a veteran quarterback in the portal. The reality is, if George McIntyre, let's say, or Faison Brandon for that matter, McIntyre, redshirt freshman, Brandon, true freshman, who is an early enrollee, if either of those two players Tennessee felt was ready to start in 2026 and give them the best chance to win in what is a huge year for Josh Heupel to push to get back into the playoff, then that would be that path. And Tennessee would still be in the portal for a quarterback, because you can't go into a year with 2 scholarship QBs, but probably more for a veteran backup type of player. That's not what they're doing. I think that should tell you something. And no, I don't think Faison Brandon dips after his true freshman season just because he didn't start. I would imagine that this is something that is being communicated to him every step of the way. We have talked about the fact that true freshman quarterbacks don't typically start at this level. It just isn't something that happens. There are exceptions, of course. Bryce Underwood started at Michigan last year. Jared Curtis, if Diego Pavia doesn't come back, is going to start at Vanderbilt this year. But if those guys are not ready, then 2027 will be the year for George McIntyre and Faison Brandon to develop in this system and battle it out. And yes, the loser of that starting quarterback competition, I would fully expect to hit the transfer portal. But I think there is too much consternation over the idea that quarterbacks won't want to come to Tennessee because they're going and getting a veteran in the portal. Every team in need of a quarterback is going and getting one in the portal at the moment. And Tennessee has started a quarterback it has recruited and developed in Nico. That obviously devolved for other reasons. But it's just not a situation that's going to give Tennessee the best chance to win this year. And George McIntyre and Faison Brandon are going to have every opportunity to be Tennessee's starting quarterback in 2027 and beyond. And I think they know that.
Well, and that's the thing that I think creates a lot of that reaction is people just assume that when you have a talented player at that position more than any other, like a five-star athlete or a five-star quarterback, that they would immediately demand to play. Where in a lot of these situations, and I'm sure it happens, right? Like I'm sure there's examples that we could cite. I don't have any off the top of my head where a player said, no, start me or I'm leaving. I just don't think that's as common as people want to make it in their heads. And so while that's a natural reaction, if you are dealing with that kind of, what's the word? Stigma is not the right word, but just kind of that preconceived notion. I've used that already too many times today, I think. But the preconceived notion that any five-star quarterback is immediately going to want to play, or I'm going to go somewhere else that'll play me, even if it's South Alabama instead of playing at Tennessee. No shade to are they the Cougars? South Alabama Cougars, is that right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I should know this.
There's some kind of big cat. Yes,
Really,
Robert?
Lucas?
Jaguars.
Come on.
Jaguar, no? It's
It's a big cat.
What's the difference between a cougar and a jaguar?
A cougar is a North American large cat, and a jaguar is a South American large cat.
All right, very good.
DP on the F&M Bank chat says, Sellers, talking about Lenore Sellers, played at South Carolina as a true freshman, and the kid at Ohio State played and was a Heisman finalist. Julian Sayin is not a true freshman. Julian Sayin was first at Alabama and then transferred to Ohio State and was behind Will Howard last year. Yes, Lenore Sellers played at South Carolina. You don't want to be where South Carolina was when Lenore Sellers was flashing as a true freshman. You want to be where the last four teams left in the playoff are now. Oregon, Indiana, Miami, and Ole Miss. What do those four quarterbacks have in common? Transfers, yes, for one. And also, none of them are freshman or sophomore quarterbacks. They are all veteran quarterbacks. If you're Josh Heupel and you go 8-4 this year again, people are going to want you fired.
Yeah.
You got to get to the college football playoff at the very least. That feels like the bar for Tennessee this year. Sam Leavitt unequivocally gives you a better chance to get to the playoff right now than starting a true freshman or redshirt freshman quarterback that you don't believe are totally ready now. It doesn't mean those guys bolt. Could they? So unpredictable. No idea what's going to happen. But I don't think it's this make or break thing that you cut out any chance of getting quarterback prospects out of high school because you're going and seeking a veteran option with the two you have in place, not ready to start at this moment. They will get their opportunity. I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow.
Oh.
And it's because, for one, Robert showed me a video.
Wait, when? Because I'm leaving the show early to go to Atlanta.
It's fine.
Okay.
When is that? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
When's your flight?
12:55.
Oh, you'll make it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Just leave before polls.
Yeah, come on.
But Robert showed me a video this morning of the rhinoceros, yes, at the Phoenix Zoo, picking the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, which is played tonight.
Oh, you're just going to destroy my Friday Fire?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's okay. I have another one. Yeah, I'm assuming you guys haven't seen Snoop Dogg on commentary for the Warriors game.
No.
Yeah, well, you will tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Okay, so tell me about this rhino.
Okay, so every year they have this rhinoceros pick the winner because it's at the where's this at? What's the bowl at?
It's
in
the Fiesta Bowl in Glendale.
So this is like the
Greater
Glendale
Phoenix
Zoo,
area.
the Glendale Zoo,
The Phoenix Zoo.
and they got this rhinoceros in there. What's his name, Lucas?
Oh, I forgot the name.
Oh, come on, dude. We have to give proper edification of this guy. Hold on, I bookmarked it.
Somebody asked in the chat, am I flying to Atlanta? Yeah. It's
You think
4
he's
hours.
going to drive?
I'm going to drive.
Chudy.
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 Chudy?
Chudy.
Chutti.
Chudy gets to pick the winner of the bowl game, and he was so bad at doing it
Miami, Ole Miss.
that when initially he was picking them, he was like, oh, whatever box he flips over is the winner. But he went 1-3 doing that. So then they switched it. So the box he picks is the loser. And he's gone 1-3 doing that. So what I think...
He's the Sauce Gardners of rhinoceri.
I don't think that they can get to him where he understands this. They probably explained it perfectly fine the first time, and he's like, okay, I'm picking the winner. And then they changed the way the format was done, and he never understood it. So I think he's 4-4. I think this rhino is 500, and no one explained the real way to pick the games to him. But he picked Miami under their current situation to lose, and they're saying that Ole Miss will win. I think, in my rhinoceri brain, I think that he is picking Miami to win. Because what would a rhinoceros be more afraid of? A rebel or a hurricane?
So I'm going to do some investigative reporting on this tomorrow because the game is tonight. 6:30 is the kickoff. Ole Miss in Miami.
It's a nice zoo.
Playing the Phoenix Zoo is?
It's a nice zoo.
Okay, so I'm going primarily for that. Secondarily, to go support my fiancée Megan as she interviews for her fellowship following residency. But I will be sure to go and see Chudy and confront him if needed. If he was incorrect about, what are we saying? We're saying he picked Miami to win.
Yes.
Okay, so if Ole Miss wins, I will go and confront Chudy myself. I will find a way into his pin, and I will report back. But this game starts at 6:30 tonight, and if I was doing an SEC stat of the day, it would be about the two quarterbacks in Trinidad Chambliss, who in 2 games in the college football playoff for Ole Miss has 644 yards, completing 71% of his passes. Just knocked my microphone. 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 2 rushing scores. Carson Beck, 241 passing yards, completing 72% of his passes. Only 2 touchdowns, also no interceptions. Buck, what is the biggest difference between these two teams? The biggest edge in this game, in your mind, is what? Ole Miss, Miami.
Oh, the biggest edge is Miami's defense versus Ole Miss's offense.
Miami has 12 sacks in the college football playoff. Woo! They had 7 against Texas A&M, 5 against Ohio State. The record in the 12-team college football playoff is Ohio State when they racked up 18 on their way to winning the national title. So Miami already has the second most sacks by a team in the playoffs history after playing only 2 games. And they're going to get after Trinidad Chambliss. The question is his escapability and his Houdini act going to be enough to escape potential future Titan Reuben Bain tonight? For me, that's the biggest question about this game because I'm confident Miami can move the football. People don't talk about, they're almost as good up front offensively as they are defensively. They can run the football.
They've got draft picks on the offensive line for sure.
They beat Ohio State by running the football with the lead when the game mattered, when everybody knew they were going to run it to seal it at the end of the game. And Mario Cristobal, for his faults in the past of in-game stuff and clock management issues, to his credit, when he got to Miami, he pledged to make them one of the best line of scrimmage teams in the country. And it wasn't always linear, and they hit some bumps in the road, and we counted them out after they lost to SMU this year. But to their credit, here they are, and they're flexing that against the likes of Ohio State, Texas A&M, and now potentially Ole Miss tonight.
They've won 6 games in a row, including the playoff Miami. Do you want to guess, either of you, how many points per game they are allowing during this 6-game stretch?
Ooh, that Texas A&M game is going to...
Yeah.
Not by much, though. Like, it's not going to weigh it down as much as you think it is.
Okay, let me say 9.
I'll say 10.
Split the baby. 9.7 points.
I was
per
closer.
game.
I was closer, yeah. Good job, buddy.
Did you just good job, buddy, yourself?
No, it was a good job in him.
We were both very close.
We got right on the edge of it.
Yeah, they're really good on that side of the ball.
Yeah. So this is Miami's offense. They're not going to wow you, right? Like Carson Beck is not going to air it out. Their skill position players are good, but they're just there to out-physical you. And what's the most fair criticism of Mario Cristobal? Beyond like, hey, he ran it that one time against Pitt and they fumbled the ball and they blew a game. Like what's an act? Because, I mean, he's done it the once, right? And that's enough.
They have been beaten by less talented teams on 2 occasions this year. They lost to Louisville and they went and lost to SMU in a game that I thought at the time was going to knock them out of the playoff because the committee had set this precedent that they were behind Notre Dame despite having the head-to-head, and they did not have a path to the ACC championship game where they controlled their own destiny. And they ended up not playing for an ACC championship and still got in. Rightfully so, I would add. But this season, that's the main issue because that hasn't really come up this year. Mario Cristobal hasn't had an in-game gaffe in quite some time.
So I think that whatever criticism you might have of Mario Cristobal or whatever stigma you associate Mario Cristobal's coaching prowess with, I think that you also have to acknowledge that dude is a genius when it comes to getting guys in the trenches and getting the best out of them. Like, that's who he's always been. It's why he's in the position that he's in. Again, he may not be the most dialed-in X's and O's coach or whatever the case might be, however you might want to view him, just a big old meathead type of situation. But the dude is an offensive line, defensive line genius, and they are getting the best dividends of that at the most important time for Miami. Now, Miami in this game is favored. 3 right now is the line as I look at it on CBS Sportsline. I'm sure it may be 3.5 in some places. Do you think that Ole Miss is capable of keeping it inside of 3 points?
Yeah, because I think Ole Miss can score. Like, that is the unstoppable force versus immovable object that I'm fascinated by, is Trinidad Chambliss, the way he's playing right now in this offense against that Miami defense. Because we've seen defenses carry teams to the championship game, but Trinidad Chambliss is also playing in a way that could very well carry Ole Miss.
True or false, he was the best player on the field against Georgia in the game.
Yeah, unquestionably.
I don't know if we're going to get that version again because Georgia obviously has different defensive problems than Miami has defensive strengths at this point in time, which is a funny thing to say given who Georgia's been Kirby Smart's entire tenure there. But still, that was not who they were this season and specifically in that game. Carson Beck hasn't been asked to do too much. He hasn't been asked to have the Trinidad Chambliss performance, right? They've been solid enough. He hadn't turned the ball over to his credit. When he turns the ball over, they lose more often than not. I think that was Ben Jones' analysis yesterday. If he turns it over, they lose. If he plays clean, they win. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. I still would take Miami outright, but I mean, Ole Miss isn't Indiana in terms of just the most unthinkable thing you could imagine in college football coming to fruition. But their story is improbable, and they are clearly playing with an edge that you could not have accounted for in terms of the roster talent or the coaching competency or whatever. They are trying to win a title in spite of Lane Kiffin.
Speaking of that, Pete Golding spoke on this on, what was the question, Robert? If he has a statement for Lane Kiffin, if there's anything that he would have to say to Lane Kiffin during all of this?
So what is your message to Lane Kiffin, to all those who maybe have given up or lost hope, and you keep proving them wrong as you're here right now in Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't have a message for anybody else. I think our team, right? Our team had a message. They had a message about how they prepared and how they play, and that they weren't tired of playing. And I do think the message is, I'm replaceable, you're replaceable, our players are replaceable. Right? I think you want to build a program to where it's heading in the right direction, and one person, one player, or anything like that's not going to derail that. There's been too much invested in that, and it's been aligned correctly that one person is not going to impact something so drastically. If it is, it's probably not built right. Right? If one coach in any sport can determine the outcome of it, he probably doesn't have a very good staff. Right? I mean, if one player can determine the outcome of it, we probably didn't recruit and create the right depth. Right? Or we didn't prepare him and be ready for his opportunity. And it's a team game. I mean, there's so many people that go into it. So the timing of when it happened, in my opinion, couldn't happen at a better time for the players because everything was already in place. Right? Everything was on the track. It's headed the right direction. We got really good players. Right? There was already a culture created. They knew the expectation. The only thing that was different is who's running them out of the tunnel. And to be honest with you, I don't think the players give a damn who runs them out of the tunnel. Right, does it make sense? They care about their plan. They care about getting held accountable, right, and how they're going to prepare. And they care about people that care about them, right? And I think that's been the message our players have created. But I don't have to say to anybody else.
There's Pete Golding on if he has a message for Lane Kiffin.
Also a baby? Whose baby is that?
Slightly unprofessional for him to have his child up on the podium.
Somebody had their kid in the press box in San Francisco. I've been meaning to bring this up, and I forgot about it. But I was just out of my mind.
Take your kid to work day?
No.
What is this baby doing in the press box?
Are you not familiar with Baby Journo? It's like a whole whatever Instagram people, that's their professional career, and he's an influencer. He is a baby journalist for the 49ers. Have you not seen this? Did he have like a little credential and like glasses?
I didn't look up because I was afraid of what I might do if I looked back and like made eye contact with this baby.
Baby Journo
This is not a real thing. You're lying.
Baby Journo has hella. Dude, why? I never lie to you. I
lie
only tell you things that are true.
constantly.
Look it up. Baby Journo. And
I'm looking it up. Go ahead.
He has a huge following. Well, I don't look it up now. Look it up later.
And I won't look this up on a work computer?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what's going to come up, but it's
not true.
No, you didn't
not
look.
True.
He's on Instagram. You got to follow him. Baby Journo.
There's a Baby Bjorn.
That's him.
Baby Bjorn is.
That's him.
No, it's not. I'm not going to click on that website.
Hey, news. Florida transfer quarterback DJ Lagway, according to Hayes Fawcett of On3 Sports, has committed to Baylor. He's headed home.
Yes.
Thought he was going to. Pirates had a chance. We
Missed
need a
it by that
quarterback.
much.
We need a quarterback.
That is a lifeline for Dave Aranda at Baylor.
Yeah, is Baylor really a better landing spot for him than ECU?
I mean, I think it's a fit thing. His dad has ties there. He is from the area.
Okay.
And I bet they ponied up because Dave Aranda's job is on the line there, and they are getting a very talented player in a very wide-open Big 12.
When it comes to the coaching carousel, there is always reports about various meetings and various conversations and people's relationships and how they devolve. But in the midst of that reporting, we have a source-off around the John Harbaugh situation with the Ravens. We will play you competing and conflicting reports from Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We're going to get to a source off here in just a second, but we can take some phone calls in the meantime. 615-737-1045 is how you participate. Richard is in Springfield.
I heard that after all the coach interviews, Arthur Smith will be your next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and the offensive coordinator will be Mike Pettine, and the quarterback coach of the Tennessee Titans will be none other than Todd Haley. And Todd Haley will be the quarterback head coach, and the defensive coordinator will be Vince Wilfork, and the tight end coach will be Taylor Lewan, and the offensive assistant coach will be Delaney Walker, and the draft needs for the Tennessee Titans is the linebacker, wide receiver, and the running back.
Okay, very good.
Dang, dude, that would be a cool coaching staff.
He's got
Vince
it all sorted out.
Wilfork?
Yeah, what's he up to
That would be
these
awesome.
days?
I think he's slinging charcoal, last I saw, for people's barbecues.
He lost a lot of weight. He's like 150 pounds now.
What? No, he cannot be 100. For a second there, I pictured.
Oh, I thought you said he lost 150 pounds, not he is 150
Oh, yeah. He known for playing on the defensive side, but now he's worried about the O.
Okay, very good.
Ozempic. You get it?
Yeah.
You picked that one up quick enough? I would also like to redo one of my jokes from last segment, if you don't mind.
Please.
Which one? Wait.
No,
which
just
one?
let him do it.
You said, ask me again what the difference between a jaguar and a cougar is.
What's the difference between a jaguar and a cougar?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. A jaguar is a South American large cat, and a cougar is a very attractive older woman.
Source off. You want to start with Harbaugh and Rappaport or Harbaugh and Schefter? All right, let's start with Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, we need to start with the rap sheet.
Who got out there, I believe it's one of their shows. I can't remember if it's the Insiders that they do on NFL Network with the Insiders or if it was just like an NFL up-to-the-minute hit. Whatever. It's Ian Rappaport on television providing what he thinks is details on the John Harbaugh firing in Baltimore.
Yeah, a dramatic decision did not come about in the matter of minutes, Tom. It really was the product of several conversations between Eric DeCosta, the general manager, between John Harbaugh himself, between players soliciting plenty of opinions from players, from coaches. And yes, it did seem like John Harbaugh himself, to my understanding, was surprised, felt he was in good standing, wanted to run it back with his current staff, including the offensive coordinator Todd Monken, including defensive coordinator Zach Orr, planned to be with the Ravens for years to come until he was informed that he is out. Now, as far as why John Harbaugh is out, among the reasons, it is not just they didn't go far enough in the playoffs. My understanding, after talking to several sources involved, is that simply Harbaugh lost the locker room. But at the end, players just simply had doubts about whether or not they wanted to play for him as their head coach. The opinions of players, Judy, was valued here. It was listened to. It went to all levels, and it's not just Lamar Jackson. Now, it sounded like to me, with Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson not being on the same page, and it continued throughout the locker room, maybe not 100%, but more than enough for the Baltimore Ravens to say, among the reasons to move on, this was a big one. John Harbaugh, of course, out now as Ravens coach.
Okay, so that's Ian Rappaport on the NFL Network, and I can't have you say what you said to me when you first saw that report, Robert, because it's not FCC safe.
I changed his name from Rap Sheet to Rap Shoot.
Mm-hmm. And there were, yes. So anyway. What did you just try to do?
It's the bleep sound we use for Pete Golding.
Go ahead, do it again.
The one I did for Pete Golding is a clown nose.
I would like for that to be our new reckless speculation.
And I think that's been the message.
Oh, wait. Shut up, Pete.
But I don't have to say to
him. God, this show is so dumb. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry.
Schefter.
No, not slow down.
I think we should just see the dichotomy of the two right up next to each other.
No, because I'm actually going to use a resource that we, for once in our lives, have value in Robert.
You see value in me?
Why did you think that Rap Sheet's in this specific moment, I see value in you. Why did you think immediately that Rap Sheet's reporting on this was, as you called it, bullcrap, except not bullcrap?
Well, because he notes, it was a tumultuous relationship between John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson. That's never been true. I mean, and that's kind of what Mike Preston tried to allude to in his Baltimore Sun article about, hey, Lamar's staying up late and playing video games. Lamar's falling asleep in practice. Or, practice. Can you imagine, like, narcoleptic? He gets the snap from the center and just collapses.
He's sleeping.
But that just couldn't be further from the truth. People around the building, Jeff Zaribek, who we talked about ad nauseum this week, have all said that it is not the relationship between Lamar and Harbaugh. It was the relationship between Lamar and Todd Monken. And that's not to say that that was a toxic relationship. They just did not see eye to eye on situational calls or how the offense was running through the course of this year. This is a new facet that happened where, and if you follow the reporting from locals, they go into greater detail about this, but this just felt like a tone-deaf, okay, what am I looking at from a 1,000-foot stare of this situation? And it really makes me question Rap Sheet moving forward about markets that we are not in the know about, that we don't watch every day, that we just take his word for gospel, because he had a report in the middle of the season this year that, Lamar's hurt, Lamar isn't going to come back, he's questioning whether which all became bullcrap. So this is twice now he's been burnt by giving incorrect information, and Schefter kind of sheds some light on that in the next clip.
Do you think, quickly before we play the Schefter audio, do you think that Rappaport is hindered by the fact that Lamar does not have an agent that he can reach out to?
100%. I feel like
that's the biggest glaring hole in the reporting around Rappaport and Schefter when they don't have the agent to go to. Well, who the hell do I talk to?
He's not talking to mom?
It makes me question.
I doubt it.
Where, and we would never know this, but like, who is Schefter talking to, and who is Rappaport talking to? Because if Rapp's talking to someone disgruntled, like, and taking his opinion to go for the entire organization, like that's gross misuse of a source. But I think Schefter does a good job about kind of clearing the air.
All I know is Adam Schefter sends every team and every team's PR staff Christmas presents every year. And I do not see such things from Rappaport. Not that I don't know that he's not doing that, but I'm just saying, Schefter's probably massaging a few more things beyond just going to the agent as the NFL Network's ambassador. All right, Adam Schefter, where is this? Pat McAfee show? All right, Pat McAfee show.
Rappaport said on the Insider Show that he had heard from his sources that maybe the locker room didn't like Harbaugh anymore, and maybe they known that there's been a rift. What is kind of your information on how we got to this point, and obviously what Harbaugh...
I don't think that information right there could be any more true, any less true. The players were coming to his office crying, hugging him, sending him goodbyes, calling him one by one. If they felt that way, why are Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely and all these players coming in, crying, hugging him, giving him these long, warm goodbyes? I'm not buying that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and slide that to the side as something that is not happening.
He's naming a handful of players there, but there's no indication that Derrick Henry had a falling out with John Harbaugh or Lamar Jackson had an actual falling out with John Harbaugh. It seems the crux of the information, everybody besides Rappaport is basically saying, yeah, Lamar and Todd Monken didn't see eye to eye.
And John Harbaugh would not move on from Todd Monken.
Because Todd Monken was doing a good job. Robert, did Todd Monken do a good job this year?
I don't think he lived up to the expectations of last year. But
last year they were the best offense in football.
But I wouldn't say that I would say that he was underwhelming based on expectations. I wouldn't say that he did a bad job.
Real quick, because we did not really get this from you yesterday. What was your instant reaction when you saw the news that John Harbaugh was being let go?
He's not asking me.
Sorry, Joseph was asking me a question. So
why is Joseph back there?
Everyone boo Joseph.
Boo!
Boo! They're booing you right now.
Boo! You and your squeaky ass voice. Boo!
Okay, what was your question?
Your instant reaction when you saw John Harbaugh would no longer be the coach of the Ravens.
I was sad. And I made this analogy on primetime. It's kind of like the family pet right? You've had this dog for 15 years, and it can't get up the stairs anymore, and it's not really eating, and it's not as playful, and it gets sick, and it's just time to take him to the vet and say goodbye to him. Like, I think it was just time for Harbaugh. They won a lot, sure, but what happened in the biggest games and the biggest moments? The team fell short. And 4 years of ending on heartbreak and not being able to get over the hump, I think that this was just a bridge too far. I understand it. I don't want to denigrate him as a coach. He's a great head coach. But I was sad. The Ravens put out a 7.5-minute tribute to him through his entire career. And I think if you want to see the real reason of why this didn't work, go look at Harbaugh's energy at the beginning of his tenure. Go look at how he talked to the players, how he led the players, and then go back to this year and listen to his press conferences and listen to his availabilities after practice. I don't think that he had the same fervor for the job that he did early in his tenure that he did at the end of it. Maybe his message fell stale. Maybe his message wasn't being brought in by the players as well. But I don't think that he lost the players' ears.
It would be very problematic anatomically if he lost their ears.
Well, where are they? Get the Staffords. Find their ears. Find Lamar's ears.
Picture in my head of John Harbaugh running around, hunched over, scurrying after a bunch of ears hopping away from him.
Well, they lost everything else. It wouldn't surprise me if they lost the ears, too.
The drama. All right, the final hour coming up next. Who the Titans aren't talking to. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans have submitted interview requests to 3 new candidates, according to Adam Schefter, in Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, and 49ers DC Robert Saleh. The Titans have their first virtual interview with Matt Nagy today, the Chiefs offensive coordinator. This morning, there was another firing in the NFL coaching carousel as the Dolphins have let go Mike McDaniel. After 4 seasons, his record 35-33. There are now 8 head coaching openings in the National Football League. College hoops, Vandy continued its undefeated start to the season, now 15-0 after a 96-90 win over Bama at Memorial Gym. Tyler Tanner, a career-high 29 points. And in Knoxville, quarterback Sam Levitt is extending his visit with the Vols this week. According to VolQuest, the Arizona State transfer is the number 1 QB in the portal. College football playoff semifinals kick off tonight with the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. Ole Miss and Miami playing for a spot in the national championship, kicking off at 6:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Titans coaching search is ongoing. I mean, it's been ongoing since they fired the guy that they had in place, and that was mid-October. So they've made a number of requests, and the interviews will begin in earnest. Well, I suppose they have begun in earnest and will continue through the weekend into next week. But what to make of the names that people are putting out there into the universe that have not yet been requested? It is important to note, as we have this conversation, by the way, welcome back. The final hour of the show. We're fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. It is important to note, on the subject of John Harbaugh, that his representation has said he will not begin taking interview requests or doing interviews until next week. So, John Harbaugh, I'm sure, will be requested by all of these organizations, now 8, with openings. Well, I guess 7 of the 8, because the other one is the one that he just got fired from in the Ravens. But John Harbaugh won't enter the mix until next week at the earliest. So, no wringing your hands over that. The reported list of names that have been requested by the Titans are as follows. By the way, you can call in, 615-737-1045. You can chime in via the F&M Bank chat on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch if you would like to let us know, one way or the other, who you like, who you don't like, what you make of the Titans' list of interview requests, and which name you are surprised to have not seen requested yet. Doesn't mean that they won't request them, but it just hasn't happened yet. The list: Matt Nagy, Vance Joseph, Steve Spagnuolo, Lou Anarumo, Raheem Morris, Kevin Stefanski, Jason Garrett, Jeff Hafley, Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh. That is the list. It is by far, as we sit here today, the longest list of teams, of any team with an opening for coaching candidates to come in here and interview. The Giants have a list of their own. The Raiders' reported list is much shorter. And the Browns have, I think, 5 people right now, 1 in-house. So, of the list that has been reported, I mean, the biggest one that catches your attention is Jason Garrett for the wrong reasons, right? Like, that's the only one that's like...
It's the most out of left field.
What's going on here? For what, really? But he's on the list, and they'll interview him, I think it was Monday or Friday, I can't remember exactly. But he's going to be interviewed at some point in the next couple of days. The names that are not on this list: Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Mike McCarthy is not listed here. I do not see...
Chris Shula,
defensive coordinator of the Rams. I do not see Todd Monken, who has been at least requested by the Browns. I have not seen Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Vikings.
Tommy Reese.
Going to be a popular figure there. Anthony Weaver, the defensive coordinator of the Dolphins. And I believe that is, of all the names that have been mentioned in some form or fashion, at least on the internet and wish lists and things of that nature, I believe that's the list of people that Titans fans have mentioned but have not seen on their list of requests yet.
No Ben Johnson in this cycle.
In terms of?
That slam dunk rising young offensive coordinator.
Sure. Do you think it's important that they have a type?
No, I think we've talked about that a lot on here. I don't think there should be any type to fit into. They have avoided, who is that generic, like, whiz kid offensive play caller?
On this list, there's not one.
Or just of this cycle. Is it Kubiak?
It's Kubiak.
Yeah, and he's not on this list.
Right.
Which is obviously the route the Titans went last year with Callahan and felt like with the route they were going to go during last year's search.
So, yeah, they for sure, it was 2 years ago. They for sure.
Why does it feel
because
like
it was so forgettable, and you wish it was only one season, but it bled into two. Like, he's been gone for so long, it only feels like one.
Yeah, he's been gone. It feels like forever ago.
October the 6th, he got fired. It's been a long time since he's, or October 16th, whatever it was. It's been a long time. I hope he's doing well, by the way. Spent a lot of time at the beach, Brian Callahan, from my understanding. So, does it matter to fans? Because it doesn't matter to me that Clint Kubiak's not on this list. Would I like for them to talk to him? Sure. But does it matter to fans that Clint Kubiak is not currently listed, or Mike McCarthy is not currently listed on the names that have been requested? They don't technically have to request Mike McCarthy. They can bring Mike McCarthy in for an interview whenever they want.
But it feels like we would know if they did.
Yeah, that would be out there. The only connection, by the way, there's not another connection between Mike McCarthy and a coaching job other than the Giants. There's nothing around him with the Falcons or the Browns, or the only connection has been Mike McCarthy, Giants.
I see what you're saying. Like the only team that seems like it's reached out to him.
Yeah. Or for all we know, they could have reached out to him and he said, no, I'm just interested in the Giants job at this point in time.
Is it surprising at all that Brian Daboll does not seem to be getting contacted by teams?
I don't know. Does Brian Daboll want to take a different kind of a job and continue to get paid by the Giants?
No clue.
We don't know. It is interesting there because I think a lot of people would have put that out there into the world.
And a year ago, if you had told me that Joe Brady will not be a name that comes up at all during the upcoming cycle, I would have been pretty surprised. Has he been requested to be interviewed by anybody?
Joe Brady, no. I don't think Joe Brady is viewed very favorably at this point in time. I don't think the Bills' offense, I don't think he's getting credit for the things that the Bills' offense is doing. In fact, I think he's getting denigrated for what the Bills' offense is incapable of doing other than when Josh Allen wants to flip the switch. So the Joe Brady, the shine seems to have worn off of it. Doesn't mean that he won't ever be a head coach. It's just he doesn't seem very popular right now. Now, Tyler on YouTube asks this. Buck, is there any validity to Koharski's report of McCarthy not wanting to come here from what you've heard? Okay, so what did PK report that Mike McCarthy did not want to come here? I haven't talked to Paul about this. Did he tweet something? Did he say something? I didn't see the nature of what he said. What I will tell you is the one thing that I know about Chad Brinker, because if there was going to be any issue about McCarthy and Brinker or connection between McCarthy and Brinker, is that Chad Brinker does not want an organization that's coach-centric. Now, he's not running the coaching search. Mike Borgonzi is. How much does that matter? I'm sure Chad Brinker has influence. Borgonzi clearly values his opinion. But the one thing that I know about Chad Brinker and coaches is that he does not want to have an organization that revolves around the coach. So if that rules McCarthy out, okay. If it means that Mike McCarthy is not interested in being in a place where it can't be coach-centric, okay. I can't speak to what PK is reporting. That's the only thing that I know about Chad Brinker and a coach.
He did report, PK tweeted a few hours ago, that Mike Munchak would be open to return to the Titans as offensive line coach if the circumstances were right.
Okay, so pending who they hire above Mike Munchak and whether he wants to work for them or not.
New O-line Jesus.
No. New OLJ just dropped. That didn't go well for Bill Callahan. I'm sure Mike. I don't know. I don't want to give anybody the benefit of the doubt before they actually do the job here, and we talk about their resume versus what they're actually going to bring here in principle. Okay, 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Mark is in Nashville.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, Buck, how you doing?
Great.
Long time listener, first time caller. Just wanted to ask you your thoughts on Brian Flores as a coach and make a statement. Why Kevin Stefanski?
No, I don't have any interest in Kevin Stefanski, but I appreciate the call.
Neither do I.
Okay.
Neither do I. But Brian Flores, I just want to get your thoughts on him.
No, Brian Flores is an excellent coach. Now,
Ravens have requested to interview Flores.
Is he the only one getting requested? Or is that the only place he's been requested so far?
That I've seen.
Are the Ravens a part of the Rooney Rule lawsuit that Brian Flores basically started? Because the Titans,
I don't know,
are. So I would think that would complicate some things. As far as Tennessee, Brian Flores is an excellent defensive coordinator. I would be curious to see what he looks like in a second opportunity as a head coach. He did not handle Tua well. Like, famously, he did not want to deal with Tua Tagovailoa. And instead would rather have ridden that thing out with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the time. I think he was a bit of a hard ass. Now, there's nothing wrong with a coach being a hard ass, especially if he learned from mistakes that were made and how he may have, kind of burned a bridge between him and the most important player on the football team, which was the quarterback, the first-round pick at quarterback. He didn't do a great job in Miami. He didn't do a bad job in Miami. He didn't do a great job in Miami.
He's done an excellent job in Minnesota.
Yes, he has.
Why don't you like Stefanski? Is it because Zach Lyons told you not to yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Because
you were not singing that tune much yesterday when we were praising Stefanski until Zach reminded us that he was at home with COVID when the Browns won that playoff game in 2020.
I just don't have this. Well, no, what I was saying about Stefanski is I was trying not to put too much weight on the one game that I saw Kevin Stefanski coach up close and personal this year, which was as bad. Like, I could understand why Browns fans would hate that man if that's the way that he's been operating all year long. I do think that's fair. Now, did you see the reporting on Stefanski that he feels refreshed from being out from under the thumb of the Browns organization?
I would.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, dude won Coach of the Year twice working for the worst organization in professional football. Is it them or the Jets? Who is it?
Currently, I think it's the Jets. I don't think the Browns are much better, though. Browns have been historically a laughing stock longer, I guess. But the Jets are really pushing them.
Yeah, the Jets have more recent success for sure, but that's talking about 20-something years ago.
I was about to say, the Jets have theoretically been an AFC Championship game more recently.
Just
than the
under
Browns.
20 years ago.
Yeah. So, I like the idea of Brian Flores. I just think it's unlikely that any team that's currently... I need to check on the status of that lawsuit, like who are still named as... parties that are being looked at with additional scrutiny, because the Titans were mentioned in the Flores suit for different reasons as a part of the Rooney Rule investigation that Mike Mularkey kind of, opened them up to when he said, yeah, they didn't pay attention to the Rooney Rule at all. They just hired me. Thank you, Mike Mularkey. Nate Washington next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Nate Washington is here. We will get with him in just a moment. At NWash 85 joins us now. Football Was My Father. The book available. We are keeping our eyes and ears peeled for a Nashville book signing date that he will have potentially to announce for you guys here in the near future. You can also check out the interview that he did with Keith Bullock on Bullock's podcast. Is it Bullseye View, I believe is Keith's podcast? Is. Yes, the Bullseye View. It's a really cool YouTube channel that KB started in interviewing a lot of interesting people, not just former teammates and Titans legends and things of the like. But always good to have you, Nate. It's the first time that we're visiting with you since the Titans season has finally concluded. Your thoughts on the 2025-2026 experience that was this organization?
Oh, man, it was a roller coaster, wasn't it? But I think it was kind of, too much. It was expected. It was unexpected as well. We started off this season thinking that a lot of the areas of concern were solidified and rectified in the situation of last offseason. I felt like we were finally coming back healthy in a lot of areas that we were harmful in, especially in the secondary. And we experienced a roller coaster in that. And I think of all things, obviously losing your head coach in the middle of your rookie quarterback's first season is difficult to deal with in any aspect. So I think it was been a roller coaster. But if you look at the back end of the season, I think Coach Mike McCoy did an awesome job of coming in and being exactly what he was supposed to, an intern that would lead this ship as much as he possibly can at the back end of this year to get them to go play well. And that's exactly what they did. I think I've seen progression in every area of this team, offense, defense, special teams. I think it's exciting to have a special teams unit that they have now of something to build off of in the future. Obviously, we've seen the progression in Cam Ward throughout the entire season of him having a rocky beginning to now being, what he was at the back end of the season. So I think at the end of the day, we kind of got to where we were hoping to be at the beginning of the season. That was playing quality football, being accountable and having a coaching staff to do the right things for this specific team and personnel. And I think they've all progressed here to have something to look forward to in the offseason.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like Vegas, for example, had them at an over-under win total of 5.5. And they looked more like a 5-win football team at the end of the year, like closer to expectation, as you've just described, than they did at the beginning, where they're just getting their asses kicked at every turn, it felt like. And obviously they make the coaching change as a result. So with that being said, we head into the offseason with the coaching search already underway, well underway. We've got a search committee in place, and Mike Borgonzi is running it. To you, Nate Washington, what are the most important qualities that you, as an alumni of this organization and a fan at this point in time, and somebody who understands this at a more intricate level than any of us, be it us sitting here in this studio or the audience listening at home, what are the most important qualities that the next Titans head coach has to have?
Well, first and foremost, I would, very quickly love to address the situation with Amy going out of her way to establish these positions of their front office moving forward. That was a huge concern of mine dealing with last offseason. I wasn't sure on who was going to make final decisions in a lot of areas. So to know that Mike Borgonzi is upon this search and he will have the final say so, who we hire, I think that's very good for a foundation moving forward for the organization. Now, as far as dealing with the specific head coaches themselves, on what I would like to see that come in is, first and foremost, I would love to see an experienced head coach with some type of success under his belt. Whether it's working for a successful organization, you look at the Matt Nagy situation, with him being able to work under Andy Reid and being with the Kansas City Chiefs for those couple of years after his tenure in Chicago. I think those type of things are beneficial. You have a coach that's coming in with the understanding of how to lead a successful organization. I think, when we reflect on the situation with Callahan, as much as you may have coordinators that are very, very good in what they've done, if they don't have a huge understanding of playing or coaching with a successful organization, it's difficult for them to come in and try to build that idea. You look at, him being with the Cincinnati Bengals, and their organization in itself has been in so much up and down throughout the years, dealing with not only player personnel and those type of things, but to have have a guy come in from that type of organization, it's going to be difficult for him to build a new, regime and be successful immediately. So I think, having experience or being around an experienced head coach that has had success in this league is going to be very important for one. For two, he's going to have a physical blue-collar work ethic. This team has always been that way. And I think, we have to get back to the foundation upon when we are successful, what we were doing right. And that was being successful in the physical game, and also going out and having every guy being able to pick up a pitchfork if need be and doing whatever job if need be. I've seen starting wide receivers having to play as gunners on punt return, on punt teams sometimes. And sometimes it takes those type of things, So to have a blue-collar work ethic, I think is going to be very important moving forward with this organization. Also, I would like to see a head coach that has the ability to adjust. I had a situation with the head coach one time that I wasn't expecting him to come in and be the way that he was. We were very stern on what we did. Third down, you knew what to expect on both sides of the ball. Short yardage, you knew what to expect on both sides of the ball, whether it was the first half or the second half. And I think that's very a situation that sets you back as a coach when you're trying to go address this league, because you're going to have coaches that adjust. You come into these games with game plans, you have to be able to adjust and be able to rely on your coaching staff. As we've experienced this season in itself, we had an offensive coordinator that was demoted from his ability to call plays, but retained his status and title as a coach on this coaching staff. So you have to be reliable as a guy that's going to be able to come in, build a coaching staff around you that you can rely on in every aspect, that has some success as well and some experience upon which they're going to need moving forward with trying to build a foundation for this organization. And last and not least, just the reliability to the players, the relatability to the players is going to be important. We're dealing in a different age. And, as I was a young man coming in this league, it didn't matter if me and the coaches were cool or not. I was going to go do my job. I was going to go give it everything I had. And when I made mistakes, I knew I was going to have to be accountable. But nowadays, dealing with these kids is different. You actually have to have an ability to connect with them, to be able to talk with them behind closed doors, to be able to coach them and give them constructive criticism without them getting in their feelings. And for a lot of guys, they're just not able to do that, So hopefully we get a guy that is able to connect with this player personnel, these players in this locker room, and be able to give them the energy in their back to go out and perform well for this organization.
Nate Washington with us. Nate, we asked Ben Jones this when he was in studio the other day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts as a former wide receiver and experiencing a coaching change when the Titans went from Jeff Fisher on to Mike Munchak. For you, playing for an offensive-minded coach like Munchak, defensive-minded coaches like Tomlin or Fisher, CEO type of coaches, Bill O'Brien in there as well, I feel like you had the experience of playing under coaches of every type, of every category. Did you ever have preconceived notions as a player, and as you look back now on the experience that you feel like you enjoyed the most or that helped you most as a player, whether it was under an offensive or defensive-minded coach?
Well, definitely. I think the most important thing when you're dealing with coordinators that come from one specific side of the ball, whether it's Mike Munchak, Coach Tomlin, as you stated, you're dealing with a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience on the other side of the ball, regardless of them being around the game for a very long time or not. And in that world, that's why assistant coaches are so important. You have to be able to go get guys that know that side of the ball that you can trust to make the proper decisions. Now, here it is. You're dealing with a coordinator that's coming in as a head coach, and he's also going to have to take time out to educate himself on what the ins and the outs of the opposite side of the ball that he hasn't been privy to coaching. And I think that's important. When I had my experience with Coach Tomlin, obviously in his beginning tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he had Bruce Arians on the other side as his offensive coordinator, as someone that led his offense. And obviously that worked out tremendously for us, but you also look at a situation where when I got with Coach Munchak, it was a different situation. Coach Munchak was a very very heavy run game, offensive line type of mentality, you know. So even in the pass game and a lot, he wasn't understood of what he was to expect, you know. But I feel like we had a coaching staff around him as well that was able to coach us, and he could rely on to help him out in those situations. So yeah, I mean, out of all, you know, I think I've had my best experience with defensive side of coaches because they understand, you know, at the end of the day, when you get a defensive head coach that was once a coordinator, he's going to want to be physical. And even in his offense, he's going to want to be able to run the ball. He's going to want to be able to establish himself as a physical offense. And I think that's always beneficial for you at the end of the day. The pass game doesn't always work out, but the run game will if you're being physical. And I think those things are able to accomplish a lot easier. So definitely I love, you know, defensive coordinator coaches, but, you know, with my experience of dealing with, you know, the offensive side, I think you just kind of get guys that, you know, are kind of unbiased and based to what they want to do and kind of unfamiliar. So I just would love to have a defensive coach, if I'm honest.
Speaking of Mike Tomlin, I know you were in the building for the Steelers' AFC North deciding win on Sunday night, and now they host the Texans on Monday night in the wild card round. On the Mike Tomlin side of things, vibes are good this week. Obviously, it was a great game. Felt like everything an AFC North title game should be, right? But, Nate, if the Steelers do run into that buzzsaw of a Texans defense and struggle to move the football and, let's say, crash out in the first round, what do you think the conversation goes back to in Pittsburgh around Mike Tomlin as we just see the Ravens make a change with John Harbaugh?
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting, not only from the organizational standpoint, but from Coach Tomlin's standpoint. I think there's going to having to be some decisions that are made, you know, obviously, because as an organization that has a winning success rate and the fan base has always been used to winning, you know, you're only going to get so many years of not being successful. And that not success is not just not making it to the playoffs. It's also not making it to the Lombardi. You know, I think that organization's fan base in itself has been tired of getting to the first round and losing, as you stated. And in a situation that you're facing that situation again, you don't want to continue to experience that. That can't be your ceiling when you know that this organization has been known for winning Lombardis. And the Steelers organization is tied now, I think, with the Patriots for the most Lombardis in NFL history. So that's what that organization is known for. And I think it's going to be important that if they do come out of this situation with a one and out again after this playoff tenure, some true evaluation is going to have to be made. Some decisions are going to have to be made. And I think it will be obviously respect on both ends from Coach Tomlin and the organization, because obviously there's a deeper relationship there. But I think they both will understand that it's going to have to be some decisions made in order to move forward and get back to the success they once had.
I've noticed that the resident Ravens fan on the show has been very quiet during this conversation with Steelers legend, Titans legend, Nate Washington. You have nothing to say in defeat? You have no conciliatory address to a champion?
You would have looked better in purple, Nate.
You know, it was so funny, man. I had such a great time in Pittsburgh. I was able to do a tailgate with Steelers Unite, man, real quick. And I seen so many Ravens fans, and it was such good interaction, man. The energy in the building was amazing. Outside of playing, that was the best game I've ever been to. And I still call it Heinz Field, but they call it Acrisure. But
it's Heinz Field. It's okay. It's Heinz Field.
Yeah, of course. But it was a wonderful atmosphere and such a game to leave from, man. It was amazing.
It's okay, Nate. You can call him a loser. We call him a loser on a regular basis. It's okay.
That might be for the greater good. Who's to say?
Well, yeah, they fire Harbaugh, which, by the way, I don't know if Harbaugh still has a job if Tyler Loop makes that field goal or not, Nate. Because he
definitely does. He's definitely coaching this weekend.
The shock, well, I mean, long term. If John Harbaugh is still the long-term future for the Ravens. But, the shock on Lamar Jackson's face, Derrick Henry's face, I'm sure the building was losing its mind when that field goal went wide right. But of the firings that you have seen, because now 8 teams have cleared out their head coaches, including Miami with Mike McDaniel this morning, is there one that particularly shocked you, or were you kind of, all right, I understand why these teams made the decisions that they did?
Well, I kind of understood all of them. I think if anyone kind of stood out to be like, I wish they would have gave him one more year due to the situation that they put him in, was maybe Raheem Morris, just because of the situation. You draft a young phenom in the first round, but then you also in the same offseason pay a guy $218 million to come in and run your offense. So he kind of was stuck in a situation with his hands tied behind his back. He didn't know whether to get a young guy a chance or play the money, so, but at the end of the day, success is everything. And to come out of this year and not be able to compete for the the NFC South, excuse me, I think it's something that the organization looked at as something that they weren't willing to deal with and needed to move on.
I have to agree with you there, just because, he went 5-2 with washed Kirk Cousins down the stretch, with all due respect to Kirk. He's not the best version of himself at this point in time. But they went 5-2 down the stretch and beat the Rams at the end of the season. That has to, and they got rid of Terry Fontenot too, the general manager. So I guess it was just a part and parcel type of situation. But I would agree with that assessment that it didn't seem, I know these things aren't fair and that they're subject to the owner's discretion at whatever point they want to make these decisions, but that felt the least fair, to your point.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. I think now, and I spoke about this earlier in the season with you guys, that we are in a microwave society, man. Everything must be done right now. Even if you've had success, hey man, you go 3-4 years with no success, then they're gonna start raising their eyebrow on you. And I will also take and I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but I also will be on the lookout for the Buffalo Bills coach, because
McDermott.
That organization is only going to deal with knocking on the door for so long, and I know that they've been amazing, but this is the situation that we're put in, especially with fan bases now being on social media and everything going viral opinion-wise. I'm sure organizations and owners see these things and they understand the severity of trying to get to being successful, and making it to the playoffs is not going to be good enough. The Lombardi has to be in reach, and I think these organizations are starting to understand that.
At NWash85, the Amazon bookstore is where you can find the book from our the only published author that ever appears on the show, Nate Washington. At NWash85 is where you can find him. Football Was My Father, the book. You can find out more information about the book, about Nate's book signings that are coming up. And, of course, just for a fun follow on Twitter. He's got thoughts on everything, not just the Titans, where we pigeonhole him with here each and every week when he joins us. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you guys. It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Nate Washington with us on 104.5 The Zone. Last call for phone calls. If you got them, we'll wrap up the show coming up next. So Lucas is locked in on this story that's taking place around the current Washington quarterback, though he's trying to not be the current Washington quarterback. We'll get to that here in just a second as the transfer portal madness, although this technically falls under the category of transfer portal madness, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Even though they technically won't put his name in the portal?
It's a whole thing.
Okay. We'll get to it in a second. But it is last call for phone calls, and we have a few to get to. 615-737-1045. It's a smorgasbord of different topics. How about Mark in Clarksville first?
Yeah, so, it's a long shot, but with Harbaugh, what if a team like Atlanta decided they wanted to bring him in as a general manager instead of a head coach? With the way the league's moving, a lot of them are moving to that Shanahan, McVay style. They might want to bring him in to be over one of these younger head coaches that's, got a little bit more flashier offense. I hang up and listen.
I guess the question is, does he want to do that or does he want to coach?
I feel like if there was a path for him to do that, him and Steve Bisciotti would have found a way for him to do that with the Ravens.
Right? Like, they would have Pete Carrolled him. Yeah. They would have sent him up to the, given him an office, a more cushy gig. Like, they wouldn't have to fire the guy if that was even remotely what John Harbaugh wanted to do with his time.
Probably be making significantly less than $17 million, but I don't exactly know the pay structure.
He might be the highest paid coach in the NFL this coming season.
He should be.
Yeah.
He was already up there with the Ravens.
Yeah, just based on tenure alone.
Giants are the only franchise that have reportedly been a legitimate contender to land him to this point, right? And then Dolphins, there's ties there. Stephen Ross, the owner, is one of the biggest donors for Michigan.
Yeah.
Obvious ties there to the Harbaugh family. I don't know what their relationship is specifically, but right now we've only really seen the Giants.
Diana and Schefter have both said that Miami has not yet talked to Harbaugh. So and that's been his representation's line is that, hey, we're going to take a breather and move forward next week.
Which is kind of crazy. Like, if they're just rocking off vibes, like, yeah, I know Harbaugh. Yeah, I think I can get this done. Stephen Ross.
Doesn't that sound like something an owner would do? An impulsive owner that also tried to get Tom Brady and Sean Payton through collusion to be his quarterback?
100%.
/ future coach?
If anybody would contact a coach and then lie about it and fire his coach to hire said coach, it would be Stephen Ross.
Probably Stephen Ross.
But what do they have to gain by lying about it? Like, whose feelings are they trying to spare? They just fired their coach. Like, there's no reason to be incognito about whether or not you haven't reached out to his agent.
I just think if you're Miami and if you're Stephen Ross and you've already gotten hit with a huge fine and a loss of draft picks for anything that was close to tampering, I think you might tiptoe around the process of this.
I guess, but like, you're allowed to talk to him. Like, there's no legality that could get you in trouble for saying, yeah, we reached out to him. 9 other teams did. Why?
They just hate Josina Anderson. I have no idea.
Maybe
they're just like, you know what, bleep that woman.
Someone's feeding bad info to Josina just to out her.
I mean, hey man, it's kind of like a Game of Thrones type thing. You tell 3 different narcs, 3 different stories, and see who runs with see who leaks the one that you're trying to keep in house to determine the rat. It's wrong. People shouldn't do that to reporters, but still. Roger is in Nashville.
Yes, sir. What up, bro? What's going on, bro?
Yo.
Hey, first question. I got 2 questions. Are you and Jeff Simmons, y'all cool now? I remember, like, right before the season, y'all had some issues.
Oh, it was 2 seasons ago. Yeah, me and Jeff are fine. We've gone through 2 full NFL seasons of a completely diplomatic working relationship. Although I'm sure if Jeff, I'm sure if Jeff could take a run at me at some point in time, I'm sure he wouldn't be opposed
That's
to
your
it.
AFC Defensive Player of the Month right there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Just announced.
Oh, good for Jeffrey. Yeah, no, we're fine.
Yeah. Second question. Why is John Gruden not in these conversations? Like,
because he's suing the league. Because he's suing the league.
So is Brian Flores.
Yeah, but Brian Flores doesn't have every NFL team. He hasn't named Goodell.
John Gruden will never coach in this league again.
John Gruden has named Roger Goodell as a plaintiff in the lawsuit.
It's not going to happen.
Come on.
Yeah, not going to happen.
All right, Wes is in Nashville.
Hey, thanks for taking the call. I listened to the Vandy game last night, and shout out to them on a big win against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the question. In the SEC conference, it's a battle. but have you ever seen a game where the two teams combined shot 88 free throws? I think Vandy had 50 free throws, and Crimson Tide had 38. So that's a lot of fouls, and I just didn't know if that's a record or if you ever heard of that many free throws in the game.
Wes, it's a great point because I think they had something like 64 fouls in the game, and Vandy missed all kind of free throws. Otherwise, that game could have been a blowout.
Yeah, 50 for Vandy, 38 for Bama.
Any guesses on the record?
Ooh,
on the record for fouls in a game or free throw attempts in a game?
I can't find it for the SEC. Pistol Pete Maravich holds the record for most with 30 made.
Well, that's LSU, so.
Correct, but that's not, I asked for attempts. The most in any NCAA game, let's do that. The most free throw attempts.
By a team?
By two teams combined.
I'm going to say 74.
Seton Hall, Niagara, 102.
Wow.
I thought about going triple digits, but I was like, there's no way.
Bama,
what an awful watch that must have been.
Bama attempted 70 shots from the floor last night, 40 from three. So, big win for Vandy.
Huge win for Vandy. Mark Byington. Doing a lot of good work on West End.
Okay, so real quick, this quarterback, DeMond Williams Jr. of Washington, who had a nice year, finished out strong with a blowout win over Boise State, I believe, in the bowl game to kick off 40 bowls in 14 days. And he has hit the transfer portal, and that created a lot of buzz because 4 days before he announced he was entering the portal, he had put pen to paper, signing a contract to return to Washington and was set to pay him over $4 million, putting him right near the top of the market in the sport. And the contract had a provision that said he could not enter the transfer portal. Then he announced he was going to enter the transfer portal. The latest on this is his agent has parted ways with him. An agent that works for Wasserman, a very large agency.
Yep.
And this agent is also the agent of Washington head coach Jed Fish, just to announce a wrinkle or just to add a wrinkle to there. The agent announced that the reason he is parting ways with Williams is difference in philosophy and that he wishes him the very best. And Tennessee fans will recognize this name as Pete Thamel, in his reporting on it for ESPN, mentioned Cordell Landers as one of Williams' advisors in all of this. Cordell Landers, also one of the people in Nico Iamaleava's corner during his dramatic divorce from Tennessee. Landers is tweeting about it. And he quote tweeted the Pete Thamel report with a screenshot of a direct message exchange between him and DeMond Williams Sr., the quarterback's dad. And his caption on Twitter is, I was thinking about not saying anything. I add, you should have. He says, these dudes from On3 Sports, I add, Pete Thamel works for ESPN, will say and do anything for clicks. Creating false narratives is what they do. From DeMond's dad, adds the screenshot. And it's just an exchange where it starts at the top. DeMond Williams Sr. says, for sure, you didn't do anything wrong, bro. Cordell Landers responds with a report from Pete Thamel and a bunch of like angry emojis. And then DeMond Williams Sr. says, liars, bro. And then Cordell Landers says, it's cool. I'm going to talk to Michael in the morning. That's my lawyer. So thank you for confirming that you are in a deep relationship with the family, and you are in their corner, so that's good. I love that you think this proves anything. Yeah. And Cordell Landers, if you are a college athlete out there listening, don't let him influence any decisions you make.
Maybe avoid him.
Yeah, maybe avoid that guy, because he has been right at the forefront of two of the most high-profile, I don't know, dysfunctional exits from a program that we've seen. This feels like it's going to start to get into Nico territory on somebody misplaying their hand.
That Cordell Landers guy is the common denominator. Messy. All right. I did the polls today, but we don't have time for them.
Shame.
Had we done the polls, Robert, the polls would have been presented by
Two Rivers Ford, the most trusted Ford dealer in all of the South.
That's the South's most trusted
Mississippi,
Ford dealer.
Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, both the Carolinas.
Robert, if I could, I would like to update one poll presented by Two Rivers Ford.
Virginia.
The question of which college football playoff semifinalist is America rooting for the most? It is Ole Miss with the edge.
Of course it is.
Over Indiana.
Of course it is. I wonder
by
who
1 percentage point.
When you ask by 1%, who came in second?
Indiana.
It's changing in real time. Now it's Indiana. Oh, this is going to be a photo finish.
Can I vote on my own poll?
42.3 say Indiana. 42% say Ole Miss.
And no one says Miami. Oh, that's a big shock. Nobody wants
likes Miami.
Nobody wants the ACC.
Also, you SEC homer. Shame on you, really.
The U coming back.
It's just pettiness. They're sad that they're not the best college football conference anymore and that Indiana is about to be the champion over all of them. And now they got Mark Cuban money and they're going to win it all forever, baby. See you tomorrow.
The college football playoff semifinals start tonight. I can't wait to watch Ole Miss take on Miami for a spot in the national championship game with my bucket of Hattie B's hot chicken in hand, maybe a quart of that pimento mac and cheese, because I'm going to go to HattieB.com in order for pickup in the nearest Hattie B's location to me. You can go to any one of their 7 Middle Tennessee locations. You can also download the Hattie B's app in order for delivery as well. By the way, when you download the app, you get a free dessert just by downloading the app. That's right. And you don't have to eat fried hot chicken if you don't want to. That's what I'll be doing. If you want a healthier option, the Hattie B's Southern salads are a fantastic option. 2 words, cornbread croutons. You can also walk into any Hattie B's Middle Tennessee location today to order for pickup or dine in. You got friends in town, take them to brunch, as Hattie B's at the factory in Franklin is doing breakfast. But it's a glorious football weekend. What better way to make your football watch party hot than with Hattie B's hot chicken?